Take a slow, deep breath. Inhale gently through your nose and exhale softly through your lips. Let the air move in waves rising and falling like the tides of the sea. Feel the rhythm of your own breath as it merges with the quiet rhythm of the Earth's oceans. Tonight, we embark on a journey not across land or sky, but through the blue heart of our planet, the ocean. It is vast, ancient, and alive, a realm that covers more than 70% of our world, yet remains more mysterious than the farthest planets. Beneath its surface lie mountain ranges taller than Everest, valleys deeper than any canyon, and worlds still waiting to be discovered. As you listen, let each word carry you deeper into calm. Imagine yourself floating on gentle water, the surface rippling in soft moonlight. The waves whisper around you, rocking you into stillness. There is no need to do anything. The ocean holds you. You are safe here. Water is where life began. Every living thing, every tree, every bird, every human being traces its story back to the sea. Your blood carries the same salts found in ancient oceans. Your heartbeat, slow and steady, echoes the pulse of the tides. The ocean is not just around us, it lives within us. Now, as your body relaxes, imagine drifting away from the shore. The sounds of the land grow faint. Only the sea remains calm, endless, breathing beneath the stars. Each wave that rises and falls carries away a little more of your tension. Your muscles soften. Your thoughts quieten. You are floating weightless, timeless, and still. In the distance, a deep blue horizon glows faintly, like the first light of dawn underwater. That is where our journey will lead, through the layers of the sea, from the surface sunlight to the shadowed deep, exploring the life, the science, and the wonder that lie beneath. We will travel through coral reefs and ancient currents, follow whales across oceans, and drift beside glowing creatures of the deep. You will learn, softly, as you rest, discovering how the ocean shapes our world and why its rhythm is the rhythm of life itself. Take another slow breath. Let it fill your lungs like the tide returning to shore. And as you exhale, feel yourself gently descending, drifting into the quiet world below the waves. Welcome to the ocean within. The birth of the ocean. Take a deep, slow breath. Inhale through your nose and feel the air move gently through your body. Then exhale long, smooth and quiet, like the tide drawing back across wet sand. With every breath, the noise of the day fades a little more. The mind softens and the body drifts weightless. Now let your imagination travel backward, not through years or centuries, but through billions of years. Past the memory of humanity, past the age of dinosaurs, past even the birth of the continents, all the way back to when Earth was young, a fiery world, just born from cosmic dust and the remnants of exploding stars. The early Earth was not blue. It was red and black and gold, a place of molten rock and shimmering heat. Its surface churned like a living thing, split by rivers of lava, wrapped in clouds of ash. Lightning flashed constantly across a toxic sky of methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia. There were no oceans, no rivers, no rain. Only chaos raw, radiant, magnificent. But even in that chaos, the ingredients for life and water already existed. Hydrogen and oxygen, two elements forged in the hearts of ancient stars, drifted through space in icy fragments. They traveled across galaxies, frozen inside comets, mingling in cosmic dust. And when this newborn Earth gathered that dust to itself, it gathered water's potential too. Take a deep breath. Imagine yourself floating above that early planet, a sphere glowing with fire. From space, it looks alive but wild. Volcanoes erupt across its surface, spewing steam and gas. Asteroids crash down, shaking the crust, releasing more heat, more vapor, more possibility. Every collision, every spark of lightning, Every burst of volcanic breath adds something new to the air. The atmosphere thickens. The surface begins to cool. And something extraordinary begins to happen. The first clouds form. Tiny droplets of moisture rise, cool, and gather in the sky. Then, after millions of years of waiting, the first raindrops fall. At first, they sizzle as they touch the hot rock gone, before they reach the ground. But the rain continues, again and again, drop after drop, until steam fills the air and the surface starts to change. Rain becomes storm. Storm becomes flood. And soon the planet is covered by endless rain falling for thousands upon thousands of years. Breathe softly and picture that rainfall. Each droplet, a story, a beginning. Imagine the sound of it. A steady, celestial rhythm striking stone, hissing into steam, whispering into the cracks of the cooling world. That sound, the first rainfall, was the Earth's first lullaby. As the crust cooled and hardened, the rain began to collect in the planet's lowest places. Basin by basin, crater by crater, the first oceans began to form. They spread across the surface, filling valleys, swallowing mountains, stretching until water covered nearly all of Earth. The once red planet became blue, the first blue world known to the universe. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, imagine that transformation. A glowing, volcanic planet turning calm and reflective. The smoke clears. The light of the young sun glints off a million waves. The air shimmers with mist. The sound of thunder gives way to the whisper of tides. The earth has found its rhythm. But these first oceans were not yet the tranquil seas we know. They were heavy with metals and minerals drawn from the rock, thick and dark, filled with dissolved iron. The water shimmered green under the dim light, more like liquid metal than the blue we know today. Yet within those strange chemical depths, something miraculous was brewing. Deep beneath the surface, along cracks in the ocean floor, molten heat rose from the planet's core. Hydrothermal vents spewed superheated water rich with minerals into the cold deep. At those boundaries where heat met cold, where chemical met chemical, something began to happen. Simple molecules carried by the currents began to react. They joined, broke apart, and joined again, forming more complex shapes. In tiny pockets of clay and mineral, chains of carbon linked together. These were the earliest patterns of life, fragile, fleeting, but persistent. Let that thought rest gently in your mind. In darkness, under crushing pressure, surrounded by boiling minerals and rising steam, life found a way. Not in the light, but in the shadows. Not in calm, but in chaos. The ocean was both cradle and shield, protecting what was delicate, nurturing what was new. Take another deep breath. Feel that first spark of life flicker in your imagination. Invisible, microscopic, but unstoppable. The same forces that shaped continents and storms also shaped the molecules that would one day breathe, think, and dream. The chemistry of those early seas was rich with potential. Iron and sulfur created endless reactions, generating energy that life could use. Tiny bubbles formed along the vent walls, their thin membranes acting like primitive cells trapping molecules, concentrating reactions. Some could copy themselves, dividing again and again. Those that survived became more efficient, more stable. Over millions of years, these early systems evolved into the first living organisms. These were the ancestors of everything. Every coral reef, every whale, every forest and bird and human traces its story back to those invisible beginnings in the mineral-rich darkness of the early ocean. Take another breath. Let that realization move through you slowly, like a current passing over the skin. You are connected to that first spark. The same water that carried life into being still flows through your veins. The same salt that stabilized early cells runs in your blood. You are not separate from the ocean's origin story. You are its continuation. Now, rise gently from the depths of that ancient sea. See the sunlight piercing the water in faint golden beams. Particles drift like dust in a cathedral of blue-green light. Each one catches the glow for a moment, then vanishes into the deep. The surface gleams above, distant, shimmering, calling. When the first light touched those waters, it brought a new possibility. The sun's warmth began to stir the upper layers, mixing them with the cooler depths. Currents formed. Storms moved across the surface, shaping waves and winds. The ocean became dynamic, full of motion, an engine of energy. It cooled the planet, spread nutrients, and began the long dance of climate that continues today. Above the waves, the young sky still glowed orange from volcanic dust. But over time, the chemistry of the air changed. Water vapor became rain, carbon dioxide formed clouds, and the first traces of oxygen began to accumulate. The world was finding its balance. The air, the land, and the sea each shaped the other. Take a slow breath and imagine standing on the edge of that first shore. There are no trees, no birds, no sound of life, only wind, waves, an endless horizon. The ocean stretches to infinity, tinted green and gold beneath the sun. Steam rises where hot rock meets water. This is the Earth's first coast, the boundary between land and possibility. You bend down and touch the surface. It is warm. It smells faintly of metal and rain. And though there are no fish or shells yet, the water is alive with potential, filled with the same patterns that will one day form every living thing. Take another breath. As you exhale, imagine that potential expanding molecule by molecule, cell by cell. The ocean becomes a network of chemistry and light, pulsing with energy. Tiny vesicles drift in the currents, some bursting, some surviving. Among them, the first true cells divide. And with that division, life begins to multiply. It is a quiet beginning, unnoticed by the stars, yet it changes everything. The Earth has taken its first breath. The ocean has become its lungs. Above the surface, lightning still flashes, but now it's part of a grander cycle, water rising as vapor, falling as rain, returning to the sea. The first water cycle is born. The Earth is alive, breathing through its oceans. Take a slow, calming breath. Feel that pattern echo through your own body, the inhale and exhale, the rising and falling tide within you. The ocean outside and the ocean within are the same process, the same rhythm. Over time, the color of the seas changes. Iron oxidizes in the presence of new oxygen, turning rust red and settling into the seafloor. The waters clear and deepen into blue. This transformation, slow, silent, and global, turns the planet into what it is today, a blue world, rich with oxygen and life. Now, imagine drifting above that young planet from far away. From space, you see it shining against the blackness of the cosmos, wrapped in white clouds, streaked with silver rivers of sunlight. This is the Earth's first reflection. And in that reflection, the universe sees itself a world capable of knowing its own creation. Take another deep breath. The air fills your lungs. The exhale leaves you calm and still. You realize that every moment of life, every breath, every wave is part of a chain that began here with rain, fire, and time. The ocean is not just ancient, it is immortal. It carries memory through its molecules, passing it forward through clouds and rivers, through all that lives. The drop that fell on molten rock billions of years ago may fall again as rain tomorrow. Time in the ocean is circular, endless, patient, kind. Drift now, suspended in that understanding. The first rain still falls softly, somewhere in the rhythm of your breath. The first tide still moves, somewhere in the pulse of your heart. You are the continuation of that beginning, a small part of a great, ongoing creation. Let the scene fade slowly. The volcanic glow dims to twilight. The air cools. The surface settles into quiet waves. Beneath them, the first cells drift, multiply, and glow faintly in the dark. The planet sleeps. And within its dreams, life begins to stir. Take one last deep breath. Inhale the calm of the ancient sea. Exhale everything else. The ocean has been born. And now, its story and yours will continue together. The first life beneath the waves. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the air fill your lungs, then release it gently, as though your breath were part of the tide itself, a soft exhale that joins the great rhythm of the sea. With each breath, you drift a little further from the noise of the surface world, a little closer to the ancient calm that lies beneath. The earth is blue now. The endless rain has stopped. The volcanoes have quieted, and the first true ocean stretches across the planet. It is still, silent, immense, and full of possibility. In the depths of that early sea, where heat from the Earth's crust meets the chill of open water, something stirs. It begins quietly, invisibly. No eyes can see it, no sound marks its arrival. But in that stillness, life is being born. At the bottom of the sea, in the dark cracks of the ocean floor, hydrothermal vents roar softly. They release plumes of mineral-rich water, hot, smoky fountains rising through the cold. Around them, chemistry becomes creation. In the thin walls of minerals that line these vents, something miraculous begins. Molecules link together in delicate patterns. They form membranes, bubbles, boundaries, the first shelters, the first protection against the chaos outside. Imagine those bubbles now, rising slowly through the dark. Inside them, a new order is forming, molecules copying themselves, dividing, remembering their shapes. They are not yet alive as we understand it, but they are close. Each one carries the potential for movement, for change, for survival. Take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, imagine the water around you glowing faintly with those possibilities. Billions of invisible reactions happening all at once, guided by nothing but chance and time, yet somehow, through endless repetition, they begin to organize. In that vast ocean, chaos becomes pattern. Pattern becomes structure. Structure becomes life. The first cells appear simple, microscopic, floating freely in the water. They are fragile, but the ocean protects them. It cushions their movements, shields them from harsh radiation, keeps them bathed in the elements they need to survive. The sea has become their cradle, their home, their teacher. Take another gentle breath. Imagine the quiet rhythm of those early lives, absorbing minerals, releasing energy, dividing into 2, then 4, then 8. Each division a whisper of persistence. Each generation a promise that life will continue. These first cells feed on the chemistry of the earth. Some draw energy from iron and sulfur around the vents. Others use heat or the slow reactions between water and stone. They are ancient chemists, turning elements into existence. And slowly, the ocean begins to fill with their descendants, clouds of life so small they could pass unnoticed, yet so numerous they change the very nature of the world. And millions of years pass. The ocean darkens and clears again. The chemistry changes. Among the countless cells, one kind evolves a new power, the ability to capture light. These are the cyanobacteria, the blue-green architects of our breathable world. Take a long breath in and imagine that first morning of true light. The sun rises over a young ocean, and for the first time, something living reaches for it. Within those tiny cells, light becomes energy. Water and carbon dioxide are transformed into sugar and oxygen. The air begins to change. The world begins to breathe. That moment, simple, quiet, and invisible, is one of the greatest transformations in Earth's history. Photosynthesis begins. The atmosphere fills slowly with oxygen, and the color of the sea begins to shift from green to deep blue. The cyanobacteria multiply endlessly, spreading across the planet, forming great colonies that float near the surface like living continents. Over time, their work transforms the planet. The iron dissolved in the ocean reacts with oxygen, sinking to the sea floor as rust. These layers of red ironstone will one day become rock, a record of the moment when life learned to change the sky. Breathe slowly. You are floating among those early architects. Around you, faint clouds of microscopic life drift like mist in sunlight. They glow softly, catching light, creating energy, releasing breath. Each one a silent worker in a world still new. Now the ocean begins to change again. The first multicellular organisms emerge, tiny colonies of cells that learn to share resources, to specialize, to cooperate. Some cells become outer walls, protecting the inner ones. Others take on the task of feeding or of movement. Together, they create something greater than themselves. This cooperation, this decision of life to work as one, is the beginning of complexity. From these colonies will come everything that moves, grows, and breathes. Take a moment to rest in that thought. The evolution of life was not a sudden spark, but a patient unfolding, a story written by countless small successes, by adaptation and endurance. The ocean never rushed. It simply allowed, and life responded. Above you, sunlight ripples through the surface, golden and green. The water near the top is filled with drifting mats of microorganisms, forming great floating worlds, the first ecosystems. They rise and fall with the tides, their delicate surfaces forming strange patterns that shift with every wave. Below, the darkness remains calm, but alive. Single-celled creatures crawl along the seafloor, feeding on chemical gradients, leaving faint trails in the sediment. They are slow, soft, and tireless, learning, through movement, the first lessons of the living world. Take a slow breath. As you exhale, imagine drifting downward through that world, a journey from light into shadow, from the warmth of the sunlit sea into the cool calm of the deep. You pass through layers of plankton, through clouds of bacteria, through shimmering particles that catch the last glimmer of light. The water grows darker, the colors richer, until the surface is only a faint halo far above. Here, in the twilight, life continues strange, patient, unseen. Some of these creatures use chemicals instead of light to survive. They feed on methane or sulfur, creating energy in the dark. They glow faintly, tiny sparks of blue-green light in the black water. It is the first bioluminescence, the first living light. Picture that scene, a night without stars, yet filled with light born from life itself. Every spark a signal, a defense, a conversation. Light is no longer just from the sun, it now flows from within. You drift among them, watching their slow dance. Jellies, soft and transparent, pulse in the darkness, their bodies rippling like silk. Worms coil in spirals, releasing faint glows that fade like whispers. Even in these ancient seas, beauty finds a way to express itself. Take another gentle breath. Feel your body soften with the rhythm of the current. The deeper you go, the more you sense the patience of the ocean time, stretching not in minutes or years, but in ages. Every pulse of energy, every division of a cell, every flicker of light is part of a vast unfolding. Millions of years pass in silence. The first cells evolve membranes, then nuclei. Genetic codes lengthen and refine. The ocean becomes an archive of possibility. Species rise, change, and vanish, their patterns written into the chemistry of the sea. The sediments build, layer by layer, like pages in a book, a billion-year story written in stone. You drift above the seafloor and look down. There, you can see the fossilized remains of stromatolites, living monuments built by ancient bacteria. They rise like small mounds, each one made from layer upon layer of trapped sediment, bound together by microbial life. They are the first architects of structure, the first builders of reefs. Even today, in a few quiet bays of Western Australia, stromatolites still live, breathing, growing, and remembering. They are the living memory of the world's beginning. Take another deep breath and imagine placing your hand upon one of those ancient forms. It feels solid, rough, cool stone, yet alive. Beneath your fingers lies 4 billion years of persistence. Every ripple, every layer, every grain of sand is a trace of endurance. Life in these early seas was fragile, yet unstoppable. It adapted to volcanic heat, to darkness, to pressure that would crush a submarine. Every challenge became an opportunity for change. And with each change, the ocean grew richer, more complex, more aware. Somewhere in those endless waters, a cell developed flagella, tiny whip-like structures that could propel it forward. Movement began. For the first time, life could seek rather than wait. It could follow warmth, follow light, follow nutrients. The ocean was no longer just a cradle. It had become a classroom. Take another slow breath. As you exhale, imagine that first movement, small, unhurried, graceful. That single choice to move changed everything. It was the first step toward exploration, toward curiosity, towards consciousness. Soon, these moving cells began to interact, to sense, to react, to communicate through chemicals. They formed the first primitive ecosystems, each creature connected to the others in invisible ways. The ocean was learning balance, learning cooperation, learning the flow of energy. Now, rise gently back toward the light. The surface glows above, scattered with drifting life. The water warms. You see new forms emerging, soft-bodied creatures with symmetry and purpose. They twist and glide, feeding on bacteria and plankton, shaping the flow of energy through the water. Evolution has quickened its pace. The sea is alive. Above, the sun breaks through the clouds, reflecting off the water in flashes of gold. The air hums faintly with new oxygen, created by countless unseen organisms below. The planet's sky turns from orange to blue. It is a transformation so gradual, it takes millions of years, yet its result is breathtaking. The Earth, as you know it, a blue planet beneath a bright sun, has finally appeared. And all of it began with these invisible pioneers beneath the waves. Take a deep breath of appreciation. Feel gratitude for those ancient lives, for their patience, their persistence, their silent work. Without them, there would be no trees, no birds, no you. Every breath you take now carries a gift from them. Oxygen first created by tiny cells billions of years ago. Let that truth sink in as you drift quietly in the water. The line between you and them dissolves. You are part of the same lineage, part of the same ocean. The chemistry that began in darkness continues within you. The water around you grows lighter. Particles shimmer like dust in sunlight. You feel yourself rising through the layers, through time itself. Above you, the ocean teems with potential, with the first stirrings of coral, the first forests of kelp, the first coral reefs that will shape coastlines and harbor life. The ocean's story is only beginning, and so is yours. Take one final, peaceful breath. Let your body grow still. Let your mind float. You are drifting in the memory of the first life, the spark that still glows in every breath, every wave, every heartbeat. And as the light brightens, you begin to see color, the blues, greens, and golds of the living sea that is yet to come. The silence fades into the soft sound of water, gentle and endless. The ocean is alive. The earth is awake, and the story continues. The first life, beneath the waves. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the air fill your lungs, then release it gently, as though your breath were part of the tide itself, a soft exhale that joins the great rhythm of the sea. With each breath, you drift a little further from the noise of the surface world, a little closer to the ancient calm that lies beneath. The earth is blue now. The endless rain has stopped. The volcanoes have quieted, and the first true ocean stretches across the planet. It is still, silent, immense, and full of possibility. In the depths of that early sea, where heat from the Earth's crust meets the chill of open water, something stirs. It begins quietly, invisibly. No eyes can see it. No sound marks its arrival. But in that stillness, life is being born. At the bottom of the sea, in the dark cracks of the ocean floor, hydrothermal vents roar softly. They release plumes of mineral-rich water hot, smoky fountains rising through the cold. Around them, chemistry becomes creation. In the thin walls of minerals that line these vents, something miraculous begins. Molecules link together in delicate patterns. They form membranes, bubbles, boundaries, the first shelters, the first protection against the chaos outside. Imagine those bubbles now, rising slowly through the dark. Inside them, a new order is forming, molecules copying themselves, dividing, remembering their shapes. They are not yet alive as we understand it, but they are close. Each one carries the potential for movement, for change, for survival. Take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, imagine the water around you glowing faintly with those possibilities. Billions of invisible reactions happening all at once, guided by nothing but chance and time. Yet somehow, through endless repetition, they begin to organize. In that vast ocean, chaos becomes pattern. Pattern becomes structure. Structure becomes life. The first cells appear simple, microscopic, floating freely in the water. They are fragile, but the ocean protects them. It cushions their movements, shields them from harsh radiation, keeps them bathed in the elements they need to survive. The sea has become their cradle, their home, their teacher. Take another gentle breath. Imagine the quiet rhythm of those early lives absorbing minerals, releasing energy, dividing into 2, then 4, then 8. Each division a whisper of persistence. Each generation a promise that life will continue. These first cells feed on the chemistry of the earth. Some draw energy from iron and sulfur around the vents. Others use heat or the slow reactions between water and stone. They are ancient chemists, turning elements into existence. And slowly, the ocean begins to fill with their descendants, clouds of life so small they could pass unnoticed, yet so numerous they change the very nature of the world. Millions of years pass. The ocean darkens and clears again. The chemistry changes. Among the countless cells, one kind evolves a new power, the ability to capture light. These are the cyanobacteria, the blue-green architects of our breathable world. Take a long breath in and imagine that first morning of true light. The sun rises over a young ocean, and for the first time, something living reaches for it. Within those tiny cells, light becomes energy. Water and carbon dioxide are transformed into sugar and oxygen. The air begins to change. The world begins to breathe. That moment, simple, quiet, and invisible, is one of the greatest transformations in Earth's history. Photosynthesis begins. The atmosphere fills slowly with oxygen, and the color of the sea begins to shift from green to deep blue. The cyanobacteria multiply endlessly, spreading across the planet, forming great colonies that float near the surface like living continents. Over time, their work transforms the planet. The iron dissolved in the ocean reacts with oxygen, sinking to the seafloor as rust. These layers of red ironstone will one day become rock, a record of the moment when life learned to change the sky. Breathe slowly. You are floating among those early architects. Around you, faint clouds of microscopic life drift like mist in sunlight. They glow softly, catching light, creating energy, releasing breath. Each one a silent worker in a world still new. Now the ocean begins to change again. The first multicellular organisms emerged, tiny colonies of cells that learn to share resources, to specialize, to cooperate. Some cells become outer walls protecting the inner ones. Others take on the task of feeding or of movement. Together, they create something greater than themselves. This cooperation, this decision of life to work as one, is the beginning of complexity. From these colonies will come everything that moves, grows, and breathes. Take a moment to rest in that thought. The evolution of life was not a sudden spark, but a patient unfolding, a story written by countless small successes, by adaptation and endurance. The ocean never rushed. It simply allowed, and life responded. Above you, sunlight ripples through the surface, golden and green. The water near the top is filled with drifting mats of microorganisms, forming great floating worlds, the first ecosystems. They rise and fall with the tides, their delicate surfaces forming strange patterns that shift with every wave. Below, the darkness remains calm, but alive. Single-celled creatures crawl along the seafloor, feeding on chemical gradients, leaving faint trails in the sediment. They are slow, soft, and tireless, learning through movement the first lessons of the living world. Take a slow breath. As you exhale, imagine drifting downward through that world, a journey from light into shadow, from the warmth of the sunlit sea into the cool calm of the deep. You pass through layers of plankton, through clouds of bacteria, through shimmering particles that catch the last glimmer of light. The water grows darker, the colors richer, until the surface is only a faint halo far above. Here, in the twilight, life continues strange, patient, unseen. Some of these creatures use chemicals instead of light to survive. They feed on methane or sulfur, creating energy in the dark. They glow faintly, tiny sparks of blue-green light in the black water. It is the first bioluminescence, the first living light. Picture that scene, a night without stars, yet filled with light born from life itself. Every spark a signal, a defense, a conversation. Light is no longer just from the sun. It now flows from within. You drift among them, watching their slow dance. Jellies, soft and transparent, pulse in the darkness, their bodies rippling like silk. Worms coil in spirals, releasing faint glows that fade like whispers. Even in these ancient seas, beauty finds a way to express itself. Take another gentle breath. Feel your body soften with the rhythm of the current. The deeper you go, the more you sense the patience of the ocean, time stretching not in minutes or years, but in ages. Every pulse of energy, every division of a cell, every flicker of light is part of a vast unfolding. Millions of years pass in silence. The first cells evolve membranes, then nuclei. Genetic codes lengthen and refine. The ocean becomes an archive of possibility. Species rise, change, and vanish, their patterns written into the chemistry of the sea. The sediments build, layer by layer, like pages in a book, a billion-year story written in stone. You drift above the seafloor and look down. There, you can see the fossilized remains of stromatolites, living monuments built by ancient bacteria. They rise like small mounds, each one made from layer upon layer of trapped sediment, bound together by microbial life. They are the first architects of structure, the first builders of reefs. Even today, in a few quiet bays of Western Australia, stromatolites still live, breathing, growing, and remembering. They are the living memory of the world's beginning. Take another deep breath And imagine placing your hand upon one of those ancient forms. It feels solid, rough, cool stone, yet alive. Beneath your fingers lies 4 billion years of persistence. Every ripple, every layer, every grain of sand is a trace of endurance. Life in these early seas was fragile, yet unstoppable. It adapted to volcanic heat, to darkness, to pressure that would crush a submarine. Every challenge became an opportunity for change. And with each change, the ocean grew richer, more complex, more aware. Somewhere in those endless waters, a cell developed flagella tiny whip-like structures that could propel it forward. Movement began. For the first time, life could seek rather than wait. It could follow warmth, follow light, follow nutrients. The ocean was no longer just a cradle. It had become a classroom. Take another slow breath. As you exhale, imagine that first movement small, unhurried, graceful. That single choice to move changed everything. It was the first step toward exploration, toward curiosity, toward consciousness. Soon, these moving cells began to interact, to sense, to react, to communicate through chemicals. They formed the first primitive ecosystems, each creature connected to the others in invisible ways. The ocean was learning balance, learning cooperation, learning the flow of energy. Now, rise gently back toward the light. The surface glows above, scattered with drifting life. The water warms. You see new forms emerging, soft-bodied creatures with symmetry and purpose. They twist and glide, feeding on bacteria and plankton, shaping the flow of energy through the water. Evolution has quickened its pace. The sea is alive. Above, the sun breaks through the clouds, reflecting off the water in flashes of gold. The air hums faintly with new oxygen, created by countless unseen organisms below. The planet's sky turns from orange to blue. It is a transformation so gradual, it takes millions of years, yet its result is breathtaking. The Earth, as you know it, a blue planet beneath a bright sun, has finally appeared. And all of it began with these invisible pioneers beneath the waves. Take a deep breath of appreciation. Feel gratitude for those ancient lives, for their patience, their persistence, their silent work. Without them, there would be no trees, no birds, no you. Every breath you take now carries a gift from them. Oxygen first created by tiny cells billions of years ago. Let that truth sink in as you drift quietly in the water. The line between you and them dissolves. You are part of the same lineage, part of the same ocean. The chemistry that began in darkness continues within you. The water around you grows lighter. Particles shimmer like dust in sunlight. You feel yourself rising through the layers, through time itself. Above you, the ocean teems with potential, with the first stirrings of coral, the first forests of kelp, the first coral reefs that will shape coastlines and harbor life. The ocean's story is only beginning, and so is yours. Take one final, peaceful breath. Let your body grow still. Let your mind float. You are drifting in the memory of the first life, the spark that still glows in every breath, every wave, every heartbeat. And as the light brightens, you begin to see color, the blues, greens, and golds of the living sea that is yet to come. The silence fades into the soft sound of water, gentle and endless. The ocean is alive. The earth is awake. And the story continues. The great blue highways. Take a slow, deep breath. Inhale through your nose and exhale gently, as though your breath is the tide itself retreating from the shore. You've left behind the coral gardens, the kelp forests, the mangroves and meadows. The water deepens beneath you, growing darker, cooler, quieter. The land fades into memory. Now there is only open ocean, the pelagic world, vast beyond imagination. This is the heart of the planet, a place without boundaries, where every current, every wave, every breath of wind moves in harmony with the Earth's rotation. Here, life drifts freely, carried by forces too great for the human eye to see the great blue highways of the sea. Take another soft breath. Feel yourself floating within this immensity. The horizon stretches endlessly in every direction, sky melting into water until you cannot tell them apart. The air smells of salt and distance. The ocean's surface ripples with quiet motion, each wave a whisper of the wind above. Beneath that surface, however, lies a world of movement, vast rivers of water flowing invisibly through the deep. These are the ocean currents, the planet's circulatory system. They move heat, nutrients, and life itself across thousands of miles. Every moment, every second, they are at work, sculpting weather, feeding ecosystems, and balancing the Earth's temperature. Close your eyes and imagine it. Ribbons of blue and turquoise swirling across the globe, flowing like living veins. Some run warm, others cold, all driven by the subtle dance of sunlight, wind, and the turning of the Earth. Near the equator, the sun heats the surface, causing water to rise and expand. At the poles, where the air is cold, the water cools, becomes dense, and sinks into the depths. This simple difference between warm and cold drives a vast, slow engine known as the thermohaline circulation. Take a breath. Imagine this engine moving beneath you. A single parcel of water may take more than 1,000 years to travel the full circuit, sinking near Greenland, flowing through the deep Atlantic, winding around Africa, crossing the Indian and Pacific Oceans, and finally rising again near Antarctica. It is the ocean's heartbeat, one long inhale, one long exhale, stretched across centuries. This circulation carries warmth from the tropics toward colder regions and returns cool water toward the equator. It is what keeps Europe's winters mild, what shapes the monsoons of Asia, what gives the Pacific its endless calm and its sudden storms. It is balance in motion, a dance of density, temperature, and time. Take another breath and picture that movement as color. Warm water glows red and gold, curling northward as the Gulf Stream. Cold water glows blue and violet, slipping southward in the deep. These ribbons loop around the continents like threads, weaving the ocean into one continuous whole. Even above the surface, the wind traces these same paths. The rotation of the Earth creates gyres, immense circular systems of currents in every ocean basin. There are 5 major gyres: the North and South Pacific, the North and South Atlantic, and the Indian Ocean gyre. Each one spins endlessly, gathering heat, plankton, and sometimes even the remnants of human presence, drifting wood, lost nets, pieces of plastic. Yet beneath the surface, these gyres do far more than move debris. They distribute nutrients and life. They create upwellings, places where cold, nutrient-rich water rises from the deep to meet the light. Wherever upwelling occurs, life blooms in abundance. Phytoplankton rise to the surface, feeding fish, whales, seabirds, an entire living web built upon invisible motion. Take a long, slow breath. Imagine following one of those upwellings, rising from the dark ocean floor toward the light above. The water grows brighter, filled with drifting particles. Each one is a seed of life, microscopic, ancient, essential. You reach the surface. The sunlight flashes across the waves, and all around you, the water seems to sparkle with life. These tiny drifting organisms, the phytoplankton, are the true forests of the planet. They take sunlight and carbon dioxide and turn them into food and oxygen. Half of the air you breathe comes from them, from this invisible garden beneath the waves. Take another breath of gratitude. Every inhalation carries the memory of the sea. Every exhalation returns it. When phytoplankton bloom, satellites orbiting Earth can see their color from space, vast swirls of green, gold, and blue that stretch for hundreds of miles. In those blooms, carbon is captured and locked away in the bodies of tiny organisms. When they die, Some sink to the ocean floor, carrying that carbon with them. In this way, the ocean breathes for the planet, inhaling carbon, exhaling life. Drift with that breath now. Inhale, the warmth of sunlight on the surface. Exhale, the cool of the deep returning below. The balance is constant, eternal, but never still. Storms churn the surface, mixing oxygen downward. Winds drive waves that push currents farther and faster. Even the moon, through its gravity, shapes the tides, lifting entire oceans and setting them down again twice each day. The sea is the planet's metronome, keeping time for everything that lives. Beneath the surface, life has adapted to these movements. Plankton drift with the currents, migrating up and down each day, rising to feed in the sunlight, sinking to rest in the dark. This daily journey, known as the DL vertical migration, is the largest movement of life on Earth. Billions of creatures rising and falling together in rhythm with the turning planet. Imagine that dance. Small shrimp-like krill shimmering as they ascend. Tiny fish, translucent as glass, following the glow. Squids pulsing upward in slow bursts. Even larger predators, tunas, sharks, whales following them through the layers of the sea. It is an entire world moving together as one great breath. Take a slow breath in. Let your chest rise with that invisible tide. Exhale and let your body grow lighter. You are part of that motion. Your heartbeat, your breath, your stillness, all in sync with the ocean's pulse. Now, imagine looking down from high above the Earth. From that view, the planet glows blue and white, swirling with clouds and currents. The great ocean conveyor can be seen as subtle streaks of motion, moving heat from one hemisphere to another. Every storm, every gust of wind, every falling raindrop is part of its flow. The ocean does not simply exist on the planet, it is the planet's living system. Below the waves, that movement shapes every ecosystem. In nutrient-rich zones, plankton feeds small fish. Those fish feed larger ones. Predators roam the edges of currents, following invisible boundaries where warm and cold waters meet. Whales migrate along these routes, their songs echoing through the deep as they move with the seasons. Take another deep breath and imagine hearing that song, a low, resonant call that travels for hundreds of miles through the water. It vibrates in your chest like the echo of a distant drum. It is a greeting, a map, a memory of migration carried through sound. Whales, like currents, move endlessly, following food, warmth and instinct, the same forces that have guided them for millions of years. The sea is alive with travelers. Turtles cross entire oceans to return to the beaches where they were born. Sharks follow magnetic fields that lead them along ancient paths. Even the tiniest plankton drift in patterns shaped by moonlight and tide. Each one plays a role in connecting the world's waters threads in an endless network of movement. Now, drift deeper once more. The light dims to sapphire. The surface ripples faintly above, a moving mirror. You can feel the quiet power of the current beneath you, like the pulse of a sleeping giant. The water carries warmth from places you have never seen, and cold from depths you cannot imagine. The deep ocean is calm, but never still. Currents flow slowly, silent and steady, like time itself. Here, a single current can take centuries to complete its path, yet it never forgets its course. It is memory in motion. Take another slow breath. Inhale patience. Exhale awareness. The ocean reminds you that true strength is not in speed, but in persistence. The slow movement of water has shaped mountains, sculpted coastlines, and balanced climates since the beginning of time. Far to the south, around Antarctica, lies the greatest current of all, the Antarctic Circumpolar Current. It circles the globe uninterrupted, connecting the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans in one endless loop. It is the only current that flows completely around the planet, carrying more water than all the rivers on Earth combined. It moves silently, relentlessly, keeping the oceans mixed and the planet cool. Imagine standing above that current now, cold air biting at your face, endless waves stretching to the horizon. Beneath the ice, beneath the surface, water flows with quiet determination. It is the ocean's deepest breath, slow, cold, vital. Every movement of this global circulation affects life above and below. It drives weather patterns, shapes winds, and even influences rainfall thousands of miles away. A change in one part of the ocean ripples across the world. The water that leaves the Antarctic today may someday rise in the Pacific, feeding plankton that sustain a whale that sings in the Atlantic. Everything is connected. Take another deep breath. Inhale that connection. Exhale your smallness within it, not as insignificance, but as belonging. You are part of this same planet-wide rhythm. Your heartbeat, the waves, the winds, the tides, all pulse together, one living system. Even the quietest seas hold motion. The surface glistens with sunlight, while deep beneath, the unseen machinery of the world continues. Heat moves, nutrients rise, life blooms, and through it all, the ocean breathes its slow, steady inhale and exhale, keeping the planet alive. You drift now along one of these great blue highways. The current carries you effortlessly, its flow constant and smooth. The water around you sparkles with tiny lights, plankton glowing faintly, marking the path like stars in an underwater sky. The temperature shifts subtly, signaling a boundary where one current meets another. Even these invisible lines are alive with meaning. They are feeding grounds, nurseries, places where new life begins. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it, the faint hum of balance, the whisper of the planet's design. It is the sound of everything moving together, each part serving the whole. Take one last long breath. Inhale the calm of these endless currents. Exhale into stillness. You are carried forward, not by effort, but by harmony, floating within a system that has always known how to sustain itself. The ocean's highways lead everywhere. They connect poles to tropics, depths to surface, past to future. They carry warmth, life, and memory. They are the invisible threads that weave the planet into one great, breathing organism. You drift within it, peaceful, weightless, timeless. And as the current carries you onward, you begin to sense something new ahead. Distant echoes, faint songs, shadows gliding through the blue. The travelers of the sea await the great whales, dolphins, turtles, and all who journey across the water's endless paths. Take another deep, peaceful breath. The current slows. The horizon shimmers with motion. You are about to enter the living highways of life itself, where migration, rhythm, and story converge beneath the open sky. The next chapter begins. Life in motion, marine mammals and migration. Life in motion, marine mammals and migration. Take a long, deep breath. Inhale through your nose, feeling cool air fill your chest. Exhale softly, as though you're releasing a wave that has traveled across half the world. You are drifting now on the open ocean, suspended in blue space, far from shore, where the horizon curves like the edge of time itself. The sea around you is calm, but alive with invisible movement. Currents flow beneath the surface, guiding travelers you cannot yet see. In this vastness, where light ripples like molten glass and the wind brushes the water's skin, life has learned to move with purpose. The ocean is not only home, it is highway, nursery, and memory all at once. From every corner of the sea, creatures begin their journeys drawn by instinct, older than mountains, guided by currents, stars, and magnetic fields that we are only beginning to understand. Among them are the giants, whales, dolphins, seals, and sea turtles. They are the great wanderers of the blue planet, living bridges between distant worlds. The return to the sea. Long ago, their ancestors walked on land. The early whales were four-legged mammals, small and wolf-like, roaming the riverbanks of an ancient Earth more than 50 million years ago. Fossils tell their story. Creatures such as Pachycetus and Ambulocetus, names meaning whale of the past and walking whale. They hunted in shallow streams, their limbs strong but their eyes and ears already adapting to an aquatic life. Generation after generation, they ventured deeper. Front legs became flippers. Nostrils slid backward along the skull. Tails grew broader. Eventually, they left the land behind entirely. The ocean welcomed them home. Take another breath. Imagine that slow transformation, a lineage returning to water, exchanging gravity for buoyancy, weight for grace. Even now, within every whale is the echo of those ancient steps, the memory of soil and air. And within us, perhaps, the opposite, the pull of the sea we once emerged from. Today's marine mammals, whales, dolphins, porpoises, seals, sea lions, manatees, are the heirs of that ancient return. They breathe air, nurse their young, and maintain constant body temperature, yet they live entirely within the water's embrace. They have mastered both worlds without belonging fully to either. They are reminders that life's boundaries are illusions, that adaptation is endless. The whale's long roads. Far below you, a shadow stirs immense and silent. It rises through the blue like a continent in motion. The first breath breaks the surface with a low whoosh, a mist of air and vapor that glows in the sunlight before fading back into the sky. A whale, the humpback, perhaps the acrobat of the oceans, or a blue whale, largest creature to have ever lived on Earth. Its heart alone weighs as much as a small car. With each beat, it sends blood through arteries wide enough for a child to crawl through. Yet, despite their size, whales move with astonishing grace, gliding through the sea with the effortless calm of clouds. Every year, they travel thousands of miles along invisible paths called migration routes. In the cold feeding grounds near the poles, summer brings abundance. Krill, plankton, and small fish bloom in nutrient-rich water. Whales gorge themselves, building layers of energy for the journey ahead. As winter approaches and the ice begins to spread, they turn toward warmer latitudes. There, in tropical and subtropical seas, they give birth and rest, fasting for months as they nurse their young. Imagine following one on this journey. From the icy silence of Antarctica to the turquoise shallows of Polynesia, it swims for weeks without pause. At night, stars wheel above the surface. Beneath them, bioluminescent plankton shimmer like galaxies. Each tailstroke propels the whale forward with quiet certainty. It never questions direction. The route lives within its body, encoded in generations of memory. Scientists have tracked these migrations with satellite tags and discovered remarkable precision. A humpback can return to the same breeding bay it visited a decade earlier, within days of the same date. Some grey whales travel more than 10,000 miles round trip, the longest migration of any mammal. Others, like the mysterious blue whale, follow routes that trace deep ocean ridges, using subtle variations in magnetic fields and underwater sound to navigate the darkness. Take a slow breath and picture that movement as a heartbeat. Each migration is one long pulse: inhale at the poles, exhale in the tropics. The whales breathe for the planet, cycling nutrients between distant seas. When they feed, dive, and surface, they stir the ocean layers, bringing iron and nitrogen upward to fertilize plankton blooms. Even in death, their sinking bodies feed entire deep-sea communities. They are not just travelers, they are engineers of life. The songs beneath the waves. Now listen. The water around you vibrates faintly, a sound too deep to hear but strong enough to feel. A long, low note rises through the water, then another and another, weaving into a pattern of sound that stretches for miles. It is the song of a whale. Humpbacks are famous for these melodies, sequences of moans, cries, and pulses that can last for hours. Each population has its own song, and each year the pattern evolves. New notes are added, old ones fade. It is as though the whales are composing symphonies that travel across oceans. Some researchers believe the songs serve to attract mates. Others think they help maintain distance between males. Some suspect they are simply the whale's expression of being alive. Whatever the reason, the sound is hauntingly beautiful. It passes through the body like thunder softened by love. The ocean carries it farther than any sound can travel through air, thousands of kilometers, connecting individuals who may never meet. It is communication beyond sight, beyond geography, beyond species. Take another deep breath. Imagine that resonance filling you, a vibration that seems to synchronize with your heartbeat. You are listening not just to music, but to the ocean's language itself. Every pulse, every echo tells of temperature, distance, and depth. Whales sense these subtleties with astonishing precision. Their hearing is so sensitive they can detect another's call from hundreds of miles away. Their brains are vast and complex, wired for emotion and memory. When they sing, the sea itself listens. Dolphins, their smaller cousins, fill the shallower waters with different songs, clicks and whistles that bounce through the water like silver threads. They use echolocation, sending bursts of sound that reflect off objects, allowing them to see with their ears. In this sonic world, vision is secondary. Sound becomes touch, distance, understanding. A dolphin can distinguish a fish species by the echo of its heartbeat, can sense a diver's calm or fear by the rhythm of their bubbles. When dolphins hunt together, their communication is a masterpiece of coordination. Each whistle, each burst of sonar conveys instruction, timing, cooperation. Schools of fish swirl into tight balls as dolphins circle them, releasing bursts of bubbles that confuse their prey. Then, at a signal too fast for the human ear, they strike precise, efficient, graceful. Hunting, for them, is not just survival, it is choreography. Take another slow breath, feeling that same unity within yourself, movement and intention as one. The ocean teaches this lesson everywhere: balance, coordination, connection. The bonds of the sea. Marine mammals are not solitary wanderers. They live in communities, families, pods, intricate social structures that rival our own. Orcas, often called killer whales though they are actually dolphins, travel in matrilineal pods led by elder females. These grandmothers carry generations of knowledge, migration routes, hunting techniques, the locations of safe bays. Their guidance keeps the pod alive. When food is scarce, they share. When calves are born, the entire group cares for them. When one dies, others linger beside the body, touching it gently with their fins. There is grief in these waters and memory. Scientists studying orcas and sperm whales have observed unique dialects of calls within each pod, distinct languages passed down through generations. Cultural transmission, once thought to be uniquely human, flows freely in the sea. A young whale learns not just where to swim, but how to sing, how to feed, how to belong. Take a deep breath. Exhale slowly and imagine the tenderness of that world, a realm of intelligence shaped not by dominance, but by harmony. The ocean rewards cooperation. Those who move together thrive together. Sea lions rest in groups on rocky shores, their barks echoing across the surf like laughter. Manatees glide through coastal lagoons, gentle giants grazing on seagrass. Even the elusive narwhal, with its spiral tusk, travels in small family groups beneath the Arctic ice, navigating by sound and memory, following the invisible roads. Migration is not a choice for these creatures. It is a rhythm woven into their biology. It connects feeding grounds to birthing grounds, cold seas to warm, abundance to renewal. It is as much part of their existence as heartbeat or breath. But how do they find their way across such distance? Scientists believe whales and turtles use Earth's magnetic field as a map. Within their tissues are tiny crystals of magnetite natural compasses that sense direction and inclination. They may also navigate by the position of the sun, by temperature gradients, even by the taste of the water. Each ocean current carries its own chemical signature, a subtle mix of salts and nutrients that marks location as surely as a landmark. To a whale, these cues are as clear as signposts. Sea turtles, too, are masters of return. After decades at sea, a female will swim back to the same beach where she once hatched, guided by the imprint of magnetic patterns she felt as a hatchling. Under the cover of night, she drags herself onto the sand, digs a pit with her flippers, and lays the next generation of travelers. Then, exhausted but patient, she returns to the sea, leaving her legacy in the moonlit dunes. Take a slow breath. Picture that small miracle life returning to its beginning, continuing the endless loop of the tides. The same pattern repeats across species, across time. The salmon that fight upstream, the eels that return to the Sargasso Sea, the birds that cross entire hemispheres all follow the same ancient law of movement and return. The ocean, too, breathes this pattern. Currents rise and fall, seasons change, warmth and cold exchange places. Everything flows in cycles. Now rest a moment in that awareness. Feel the slow beat of your heart, echoing the rhythm of these migrations, steady, unhurried, eternal. In the next breath, the journey will continue deeper into the heart of motion, where the stories of endurance, communication, and connection unfold even further. Take a deep, steady breath. The air moves in and out of you, like a tide, slow, deliberate, ancient. You are floating now in the open blue, where the sea is endless and alive. All around you, invisible highways stretch across the planet, carved not in stone or sand, but in memory and motion. The animals that travel these paths do so with certainty, born of instinct. Each journey follows the same rhythm: leave, wander, return. They do not question the distances. They simply move because the ocean calls. Above you, the sun glints across the waves. Far below, a pod of sperm whales drifts through the dim blue. They dive deeper than any other mammal down past 1,000 meters into the silent, crushing pressure of the deep. There, in the blackness, they hunt giant squid, their bodies glowing faintly in the light of bioluminescent prey. Each dive can last more than an hour, their hearts slowing to a few beats per minute as they conserve oxygen. Then they rise again, exhaling with a thunderous burst at the surface, a column of mist catching the sunlight. They rest together, floating vertically like pillars of patience, breathing in unison. These are creatures of scale not only in size, but in depth, time, and emotion. Their clicks, used for echolocation, are the loudest biological sounds on Earth. Each one carries through water farther than thunder carries through air. When one whale clicks, another, miles away, can hear. They speak in code, exchanging bursts of rhythm that form dialects, languages unique to each family. It is as though entire civilizations drift beneath the waves, speaking a language of sonar and song. Take another slow breath. As you exhale, imagine the world seen through sound, not as color or shape, but as echo and vibration. For whales and dolphins, sound is touch. It fills the water, connecting everything that moves within it. Every rock, every creature, Every current reflects back a whisper of itself. To live by sound is to live in awareness, to feel the world through resonance. You drift now above a group of orcas, black and white shadows moving with absolute precision. They hunt together, weaving through the sea like dancers in perfect rhythm. Each knows the other's role. Some drive fish into tight spirals, others strike from below, herding the prey toward the surface. When they feed, they share the catch, passing food mouth to mouth. No one is left behind. In colder waters, some orcas hunt seals using waves as tools. They coordinate silently, surging together to wash their prey from ice flows. It is intelligence, shaped by millennia of necessity strategy, born of cooperation. Every success depends on trust, on communication, on the invisible ties that hold the pod together. Take a breath in. Feel how life thrives not through isolation, but through connection. The sea teaches this in every current, every pod, every school. Now drift forward through time and space. The water grows warmer. A pod of dolphins appears, their sleek bodies flashing silver as they leap in arcs through the sunlight. They travel not as individuals, but as one, a single body with many hearts. Each leap seems effortless, yet every motion has purpose. They play, but their play is practice honing speed, coordination, and awareness. Scientists have observed dolphins using tools, recognizing themselves in mirrors, and displaying emotions familiar to our own joy, empathy, curiosity, grief. When a dolphin dies, others linger beside it. They nudge the body gently, circling it for hours before leaving. Grief, too, belongs to the ocean. It is the cost of deep connection. Take another long breath, and as you exhale, let compassion fill the space between thought and sound. You can feel it, the intelligence of the sea, vast and wordless. It moves through every species, every wave. Far to the north, the migration of humpback whales continues. Females swim with calves by their sides, guiding them through open water. A newborn whale drinks hundreds of liters of milk each day, growing strong enough to face the journey ahead. Its mother fasts for months, living on the energy stored in her own body. She sings to her calf through the water low, rhythmic pulses of reassurance. The calf recognizes her song instantly, following her voice through the darkness. When danger approaches an orca pod, a ship, a storm, she shields the calf with her body. There is nothing tentative about her protection. Maternal love, it seems, is universal. Whales remember these migrations all their lives. Young ones learn the routes by following their mothers. As adults, they return to the same paths, guided by memory as ancient as coral. When we listen to their songs, we are eavesdropping on generations of knowledge, passed not through books or maps, but through experience and sound. Take a slow breath and imagine the surface at dawn. The water glows pink and gold. The horizon blurs into sky. A whale breaches, rising completely out of the water. For a heartbeat, it hangs suspended in air, enormous and graceful. Then it falls back with a thunderous crash that sends ripples for miles. Why do whales breach? Scientists have many theories to communicate, to dislodge parasites, to assert dominance, to play. But perhaps, in the end, it is joy, a pure expression of being alive. As the splash settles, silence returns, and you drift onward. Below you, schools of tuna flash like silver arrows. Farther down, squid rise from the deep, pulsing with bioluminescence. Even in the open ocean, life is everywhere, feeding, moving, reproducing, migrating. The sea never stops breathing. Take a deep, slow breath. Inhale the rhythm of life around you. Exhale into calm. The movement of oxygen through your lungs mirrors the movement of water through gills, through currents, through the planet's own body. You are not separate from this system. You are part of it. The ocean as memory. Every migration leaves traces. Invisible highways of scent and sound, temperature and chemistry linger long after the travelers pass. The ocean remembers them all. Like the grooves of an old record, these paths hold the music of time. Even the smallest fish follow these cues, the smell of their natal reef, the taste of their home lagoon. Salmon return to the rivers of their birth using scent alone, detecting the unique chemical signature of a single stream among thousands. Eels, born in the distant Sargasso Sea, find their way to European rivers using the pull of the moon and the whisper of currents. Life, it seems, is drawn not just by need, but by memory. The same memory runs through you. Your body is mostly water, the same water that filled the first oceans 4 billion years ago. Your blood carries the same balance of salt. When you cry, your tears are almost identical to seawater. You are not a visitor here, you are home. Take another slow, steady breath. As you exhale, let go of the illusion of separation. The ocean flows through you. You flow through it. The pulse of the planet. Migration and motion are not random. They are the heartbeat of the world. As whales move between poles and tropics, they transport nutrients across hemispheres. Their feeding and excretion fertilize the surface waters, stimulating plankton blooms that feed fish, that feed birds, that feed the planet. When they die, their bodies sink, delivering carbon and energy to the deep sea, supporting entire ecosystems for decades. Scientists call this the whale pump, a poetic and literal truth. The whales are part of Earth's own circulation. The same is true of smaller travelers. Krill migrate vertically each day, rising to feed at night and sinking by day, carrying nutrients between layers. Tuna, sharks, and seabirds follow these patterns, linking surface and depth. Even plankton microscopic drifters participate in this dance, connecting sunlight to the abyss through the simple act of living. Everything moves, everything cycles, everything returns. The planet is alive because it is in motion. Take another deep breath. Feel the movement of your own blood, the pulse in your wrists and temples. It is the same rhythm. You are the ocean remembering itself in human form. The ocean's challenges. Yet even as life persists, the modern ocean faces new obstacles. The currents are shifting as the planet warms. The migration routes that once guided whales and turtles now cross shipping lanes filled with noise and plastic. Sound pollution from engines and sonar can disorient marine mammals, masking the songs they use to navigate and communicate. Fishing nets drift through the highways, unseen traps in the endless blue. And still, life continues. Whales adapt, altering their songs to lower frequencies that travel farther through noisy water. Dolphins change their dialects, finding new ways to communicate. Coral reefs, though damaged, send out larvae that seek new homes. The ocean endures because resilience is written into its fabric. Take another slow, mindful breath. Inhale hope. Exhale gratitude. Remember that the sea does not ask for perfection, only awareness. Each act of understanding, each effort to listen, to protect, to coexist, becomes a ripple in the right direction. The harmony of motion. As you drift onward, the current carries you into calmer waters. The horizon glows with evening light. The air is warm, touched with salt. All around you, the ocean breathes softly, inhaling the day, exhaling the night. The great travelers, the whales, the dolphins, the seals and turtles, continue their eternal routes. They move through darkness without fear, guided by the same forces that guide the stars. You too are part of that motion. The air you breathe was made by plankton. The warmth on your skin comes from sunlight stored in the sea. The water within you was once a raindrop, once an ocean wave, once perhaps part of a whale's song. Take one final deep breath. Let it fill you completely. Then exhale slowly and peacefully, releasing into the vastness that surrounds you. You are not alone. You are part of the migration, a being in motion, carried by the same currents that move the world. The ocean is memory, music, and motion all at once. And as you drift in its rhythm, you understand what every whale, every dolphin, every drifting plankton has always known: that to live is to move, to breathe is to belong, and to return is to remember. The current softens. The water around you deepens into twilight. The surface above glows faintly with starlight. You are carried forward not by effort, but by harmony. Soon the light will fade further. You will descend again into the darker, quieter zones of the ocean, where pressure, mystery, and beauty coexist. But for now, rest in this motion. Let the tide of life cradle you, just as it cradles the planet. The journey continues. The twilight zone and bioluminescent wonders. Take a long, unhurried breath. Inhale through your nose and exhale slowly, letting your body soften. You are drifting once more into the depths, deeper and deeper, beyond where the light can easily follow. The surface, bright and restless above, is fading now into a calm blue haze. You are descending into the ocean's middle world, a realm scientists call the mesopelagic, but sailors and poets know it by another name: the twilight zone. Here, sunlight weakens but never truly disappears. It filters down in narrow beams that shimmer like cathedral glass. Between those columns of light lies shadow, a blue so deep it seems to hum. This is the world between day and night, where creatures of light and darkness coexist in delicate balance. Take another slow breath. As you exhale, imagine the sound of your own heartbeat merging with the slow rhythm of the water around you. Each pulse echoes faintly, then disappears into the distance. Pressure builds gently, a comforting weight. You are descending through time, through mystery, through one of the least explored frontiers on Earth. More than half of all the planet's ocean volume lies below this depth, yet we know less about it than the surface of Mars. It begins roughly 200 meters below the surface, the point at which sunlight fades beyond reach. No human eye has ever seen most of it directly. The pressure here is immense, the temperature cold, the silence total. Yet this twilight world is alive with movement, color, and light of its own making. The first thing you notice is the glow. At first, it is faint, just a few flickers of blue-green far below. Then more appear, scattered across the darkness like stars reflected in a midnight sea. You are entering a galaxy beneath the waves. The living light, bioluminescence. Light produced by living organisms fills the twilight zone with quiet magic. It is one of nature's oldest and most beautiful tricks, and it works through a simple chemical reaction. Inside these creatures, molecules of luciferin react with oxygen, producing light without heat. Some species glow continuously, others pulse or flash in intricate rhythms. In this world, light is not only beauty, it is communication, camouflage, and survival. Take a slow breath. As you exhale, picture that glow surrounding you. Tiny plankton drift by, pulsing like sparks carried by a current. A jellyfish drifts upward, its bell clear as glass, its tendrils rimmed with electric blue. Each gentle pulse of its body propels it forward, leaving trails of soft light that fade behind it like whispers. To your eyes, it looks like a slow-motion firework suspended in liquid night. The twilight zone is full of such wonders. Here, light is the language of life. Some creatures use it to attract mates, others to startle predators, still others to lure prey. The anglerfish, for example, a patient hunter of the deep, dangles a glowing lure from a rod-like fin that extends above its head. Small fish, drawn to the shimmer, approach, and in a flash, they are gone. The deep teaches beauty and danger in the same breath. Further down, schools of lanternfish move like silver rivers, their bodies dotted with rows of tiny glowing spots. Each fish can control its own pattern, turning lights on and off like stars blinking in rhythm. At night, billions of lanternfish rise toward the surface to feed the largest migration of life on the planet, repeated every single day. When morning comes, they sink again to the depths, their lights dimming as the darkness returns. It is a planetary heartbeat, a slow inhalation and exhalation of life. Take another deep breath and feel yourself moving with them. Up toward the faint sunlight at dusk, down again toward the still cold of dawn. Your breath rises and falls like the tide, like the migrations of the ocean itself. The architects of darkness. The deeper you go, the stranger the life becomes. Evolution here has sculpted creatures that seem like works of imagination, yet each is perfectly adapted to this realm. You drift beside a hatchetfish, its body thin as a blade, covered in mirrored scales that reflect any faint light, rendering it nearly invisible from below. Its large eyes point upward, tuned to detect silhouettes against the last trace of daylight. A few meters away, a viperfish glides through the gloom. Its jaws are long and needle-sharp, its teeth so large they cannot fit entirely inside its mouth. It glows faintly along its sides, its body patterned with photophores that flash in sequence, confusing prey before it strikes. Despite its fearsome appearance, it is small, a reminder that the most terrifying shapes can belong to fragile things. Take a long, slow breath. Let wonder replace fear. In this place, even strangeness has grace. Every creature is an artist of adaptation, each shape, each light, each movement fine-tuned for survival in the thin twilight between worlds. You pass a cone jelly drifting like a living prism. As it moves, rows of tiny cilia ripple along its body, scattering light into rainbow streaks. It does not need pigment or color. It bends light itself. Nearby, translucent shrimp pulse in the dark, some releasing clouds of glowing blue when threatened a defense mechanism, like smoke in the water. Even their panic is beautiful. As you sink lower, the faint sunlight fades completely. The twilight zone gives way to darkness, the bathypelagic, or midnight zone. Here, no sunlight has ever reached, not even the faintest shimmer. The midnight realm. Take a deep breath, steady and slow. The air you inhale once passed through plankton, at the surface a reminder that even here, far below, you are connected to the light above. Now exhale and feel your body settle into the calm of total night. The pressure here would crush a human unprotected, yet life abounds. It thrives not in spite of the darkness, but because of it. Eyes are large, mouths wide, bodies gelatinous to withstand the crushing weight. And everywhere still there is light. Look around. Far below, points of blue flare and fade, each one a signal. An eel-like creature glides by, its body flickering like a falling star. Clusters of small fish glow in synchronized pulses, perhaps communicating or confusing predators. Each flash lasts only seconds, but multiplied across the vastness, it becomes a constellation, a living galaxy beneath the waves. In the distance, a shadow moves. It is the shape of a whale returning from the deep, perhaps a sperm whale, its great head full of echoes and memories. It has just hunted in the blackness, diving more than a kilometer below the surface. Now it rises slowly, carrying the pressure of the deep in its massive body. Even here, it finds orientation, not through sight, but through sound echolocation. It sends out a series of clicks that bounce off invisible walls, painting an image of the dark in its mind. It moves with certainty, guided by an internal map older than any human chart. Take another slow breath. Sound, not sight vibration, not color defines this world. Even the quietest hum carries meaning. Here, silence is not emptiness, it is full of listening. You pass near a hydrothermal vent, one of the great engines of life in the deep. Superheated water gushes from cracks in the Earth's crust, rich with minerals like iron and sulfur. Around it, a community of creatures thrives: giant tube worms with white bodies and crimson plumes, crabs with ghostly shells, snails armored with iron scales. There is no sunlight here, yet the vent glows faintly from its own heat, a small sun at the bottom of the world. Microbes gather at its base, feeding on chemical energy through chemosynthesis, the deep sea counterpart to photosynthesis. From those bacteria, life radiates outward. The vent becomes a city in the darkness, a pillar of heat and creation. Scientists call these vents black smokers. They may look alien, but they tell us something profound: that life does not need light, only energy. And where energy exists, life will always find a way. Take a deep breath. Feel that truth settle into you like warmth. Even in darkness, creation continues. The slow ballet of the deep. You drift farther along the seafloor, where sediments have gathered for millions of years. The bottom is not barren. It is alive with creatures that move slowly, methodically. Sea cucumbers inching forward, starfish extending their arms, translucent fish resting on fins that resemble wings. Each one moves at the pace of patience. Time here has a different meaning. Above, the marine snow falls constantly, tiny flakes of organic matter drifting down from the surface. It is the ocean's gentle snowfall, composed of the remains of plankton, dead organisms, and waste. To the creatures of the deep, it is nourishment, proof that the surface still remembers them. Every flake carries carbon, calcium, and history. Some will become food, others will settle, and, over millennia, form the sediment that builds continents. Even decay here becomes creation. Take a long, quiet breath. Inhale the patience of this world. Exhale the rush of your own. Everything here moves in cycles: light into darkness, growth into rest, life into renewal. Far away, a faint pulse of light appears, rising from the depths. Then another. It is a school of hatchetfish ascending toward the surface as night falls. They join countless others in the great vertical migration, the daily rise and fall of billions of creatures that move with the rhythm of the sun. It is the largest synchronized movement of life on Earth, repeated every day, everywhere. The twilight zone is their highway, their home, their refuge, the light that thinks. Bioluminescence is more than survival. It is communication. Some deep-sea creatures flash to attract mates, using specific rhythms that identify their species. Others use counter-illumination, lighting up their undersides to match the faint light above, hiding from predators below. It is camouflage made of photons. Some squid can control the color and direction of their glow, even creating patterns to startle or deceive. Others eject clouds of luminous ink when threatened, a glowing smokescreen to distract attackers while they vanish into the dark. Imagine that darkness used to create light, and light used to protect darkness. The ocean is full of paradoxes, yet everyone makes perfect sense. Scientists once believed that life in the deep was sparse, but new technologies, robotic submersibles, and autonomous sensors reveal the truth. The twilight zone may hold more biomass than all the fish in shallower seas combined. It is the unseen engine of the ocean, cycling carbon, regulating climate, sustaining the web of life from surface to seafloor. And though we have explored less than 1% of it, each new discovery reminds us that the unknown is far larger than the known. Take a long, deep breath. As you exhale, let curiosity replace certainty. The world is still mysterious, still vast, still full of light we haven't yet seen. The philosophy of the deep. Drifting in this world, it's hard not to feel awe, a quiet, reverent awe that softens thought and opens wonder. Every creature here, from the smallest plankton to the largest whale, is part of a single story, the story of adaptation, persistence, and beauty. The ocean does not waste anything. It reuses, reimagines, rebalances. Even loss becomes nourishment. In its own way, the sea mirrors the human mind. We too have surface thoughts that shimmer in sunlight, and deeper layers where light rarely reaches, where memories, dreams, and quiet truths drift unseen. And sometimes, in that inner twilight, we discover our own bioluminescence, the soft glow of understanding, the calm light of awareness. Take a slow, mindful breath. Inhale that metaphor like oxygen. Exhale into stillness. You are both the observer and the ocean itself. You are the surface and the depth, the darkness and the light, the return toward light. Now, after drifting for what feels like eternity, you begin to rise. The pressure eases. The darkness lightens from black to indigo, from indigo to sapphire. Particles drift past you like stardust. The bioluminescent creatures grow fewer, retreating to the depths they call home. You are leaving the twilight behind, carrying its calm within you. As you ascend, the light strengthens. You see once more the shimmering silhouettes of larger life, a whale passing above like a moving mountain. Schools of fish flashing in unison, a jellyfish blooming in slow motion. The surface glows ahead, radiant and welcoming. Take a final deep breath. Inhale the memory of darkness. Exhale the light you carry now within. You have seen a world without sunlight, yet filled with radiance. You have witnessed how life endures where none should, how beauty glows even in silence. The ocean has shown you its secret, that light is not merely a gift of the sun, but a promise kept by life itself. Soon you will reach the open blue again, where the water breathes with wind and current. But the memory of the twilight zone will stay within you, a quiet glow beneath the surface of your thoughts, reminding you that even in the deepest dark, there is always light. Take one last slow breath. Inhale the ocean's wisdom. Exhale the peace it brings. The light above grows brighter. The current carries you upward. The sea around you warms. And as you rise toward the surface, the story continues into the great web of connection that unites all life within the blue heart of our world. A web of connection. Take a long, deep breath. Let it move slowly through you, steady, patient, tidal. As you exhale, imagine that breath drifting outward, dissolving into the water around you. In that motion, there is no separation between you and the sea. The air in your lungs and the oxygen in the waves are part of the same endless exchange. The ocean is not just a place, it is a process, a living network that binds every form of life on Earth. Every droplet, every current, every creature is part of a single, seamless web of connection. Here, within the blue heart of the planet, the lines between one being and another blur into unity. The symphony of the small. At the surface, sunlight strikes the water and awakens the smallest architects of life, phytoplankton. They are microscopic, too tiny for the naked eye, yet they shape the chemistry of the entire world. Each cell is a miniature factory, using sunlight, carbon dioxide, and nutrients to create energy. In doing so, they release oxygen, vast amounts of it. More than half the oxygen in Earth's atmosphere comes not from forests or grasslands, but from these invisible drifters. Take a slow breath in. The air you're breathing right now, wherever you are, carries their gift. With every exhale, you return carbon to the air, carbon that, through wind and rain, will find its way back to the ocean. You and the plankton are partners in an exchange that has continued for billions of years. Wherever plankton flourish, life follows. Tiny crustaceans feed on them, copepods, krill, and countless others, each no larger than a grain of rice, yet numbering in the quadrillions. They, in turn, feed fish whales, and seabirds. Energy travels up the chain like a melody rising in pitch, each note dependent on the one before. Drifting through the water, you can almost feel that rhythm. The ocean hums with quiet cooperation, predator and prey, giver and receiver, linked in balance. Nothing exists alone. Even death becomes a bridge, nourishing what comes next. The great nutrient circulation. When surface creatures die, their bodies begin a slow descent through the water column. They fall like snow, soft, constant, beautiful. Marine scientists call this marine snow. Each flake is a mixture of carbon, calcium, and fragments of life, sinking gently into the deep. There, on the seafloor, scavengers and microbes break it down, releasing nutrients back into the water. Currents carry those nutrients upward again, feeding new blooms of plankton at the surface. It is the planet's most elegant recycling system, a continuous circle of transformation. Take another slow breath. Imagine that every inhale is a tide flowing in, and every exhale is the tide flowing out, giving and receiving, never separate. That is how the ocean lives, a constant exchange of matter and meaning. The same circulation happens on a grander scale. Cold, dense water sinks near the poles, carrying oxygen into the deep. It drifts for centuries, gathering minerals and nutrients until upwelling currents bring it back to the surface in distant seas. When it rises, it ignites explosions of life blooms of plankton so vast they can be seen from space. These zones of renewal feed entire ecosystems, from sardines and anchovies to seabirds and whales. One breath of the ocean spans continents and centuries. The invisible builders. Far below, unseen to the eye, bacteria and viruses continue the unseen labor of balance. Marine microbes recycle nutrients, breaking down organic matter into forms that plants and animals can reuse. Some fix nitrogen from the air, making it available to life. Others convert waste into energy, fueling the base of food chains. Even viruses play a role when they infect and break apart microbial cells. They release nutrients back into the system. There is no villainy here, only function. The ocean wastes nothing. Every drop of seawater contains more living things than there are people on Earth. They drift together, invisible yet vital, shaping the planet's climate and chemistry every second. The sea is a vast collective organism, and these microorganisms are its heartbeat, threads of connection. As you drift through the water, you begin to notice how everything connects. A fish passes nearby, scales flashing silver. It eats a smaller fish, which once ate plankton. Later, this larger fish will die and sink, feeding worms on the seafloor. Those worms will release nutrients that rise to feed plankton once more. The circle closes, perfect and endless. Predator and prey are not enemies, they are partners in equilibrium. The ocean's balance is not maintained through stillness, but through constant motion. Everything depends on everything else, even you. The water within your body was once ocean water, lifted into clouds, dropped as rain, filtered through rivers, and returned again to the sea. The calcium in your bones may once have formed the shell of a plankton or coral polyp. When you breathe, you exchange gases with the air that the ocean made. You are not outside this system, you are one of its expressions. Take another deep breath and feel that truth. You are an event in the ocean's history. Every heartbeat, every breath, every tear is made of its memory. The web at scale. Zoom outward in your mind. From space, the ocean's currents weave intricate spirals of turquoise and indigo. Phytoplankton blooms bloom in swirling shapes, tracing the movement of invisible winds. Storms stir the surface, mixing layers that have been separate for centuries. Even the great whales contribute to this pattern. When they feed in the depths and excrete near the surface, they they transport nutrients upward, fertilizing the sea for new growth. Scientists call this the whale pump, a reminder that life drives the very systems that sustain it. Turtles migrate along these currents, following invisible highways of temperature and salinity. Seabirds skim the surface, hunting where upwelling brings food within reach. Coral reefs, mangroves, and seagrasses along the coasts act as filters and buffers, trapping sediment and storing carbon. Each ecosystem complements the others, forming a network that stabilizes the planet. This web extends beyond biology. The ocean regulates climate by absorbing heat and carbon dioxide. It creates rain and weather, shapes winds, and defines seasons. Without it, the Earth would be barren, its atmosphere unstable. The ocean is not a backdrop for life. It is the mechanism by which life exists at all. The pulse of equilibrium. Take another slow breath. Inhale the vastness of this system. Exhale your smallness within it. Both are sacred. Within the water, countless exchanges occur every second. A plankton divides. A fish exhales carbon dioxide. A coral releases a gamete into the current. Each action ripples outward, affecting everything else. It is easy to think of these as separate events, but in truth, they are one continuous movement, the ocean's breath. When a storm stirs the sea, it mixes layers that carry different histories. When waves crash against the shore, they release microscopic particles into the air that seed clouds, influencing rainfall across continents. The rhythm of your own breath mirrors this planetary respiration. The world inhales and exhales through water, balance and fragility. Yet even balance requires care. The ocean can absorb and recycle much, but not infinitely. Pollution, overfishing, and warming waters test its resilience. Coral bleaching, oxygen loss, and acidification are the visible symptoms of a system strained. And still, the ocean tries to heal. Currents redistribute heat. Species migrate to cooler waters. Ecosystems adapt in quiet determination. Take a deep, slow breath, not of worry, but of compassion. The sea is resilient, but it needs time, space, and respect to restore itself. Every act of understanding, every moment of awareness is part of that healing. When you learn, you protect. When you care, you contribute. Even knowledge is conservation, the human thread. Humans have always been part of this web. We emerged beside the sea, drew salt from its water, food from its depths, and stories from its waves. Our ancestors followed the rhythm of tides to mark time. Our myths are full of oceans, gods of storms, spirits of coral, creatures that connect the known with the unknown. In every culture, the sea is both a mirror and a teacher. Today, our connection is less visible, but just as real. The moisture in every cloud above you began as vapor rising from the ocean. The weather that touches your skin was shaped by waves thousands of kilometers away. When you drink water, eat food, or breathe, you participate in the same exchange that began 4 billion years ago. Take a long breath in. Exhale slowly, feeling gratitude for that unseen generosity. The ocean asks for nothing, yet gives everything. The unity beneath differences. If you could see the entire planet's living web at once, all the plankton, fish, mammals, corals, birds, and humans, you would see that it forms one continuous pattern. It might look like neurons in a brain, glowing with points of energy connected by threads of light. That image is not a metaphor, it is truth. The biosphere is an organism, and the ocean is its bloodstream. Every individual life is a temporary expression of this collective. When you breathe for it. When you rest, you allow its cycles to continue. When you listen, truly listen to the sea, you can almost hear the sound of that unity. It is not a roar or a crash, it is the quiet hum beneath everything, the note that connects being to being. Take another deep breath. Let that sound vibrate through you. You are not a spectator of nature. You are nature observing itself. You are the ocean, remembering. Reflection in stillness. Now let the water around you grow still. The light softens, turning the sea to liquid dusk. Fish drift in slow spirals, their scales catching the last glimmer of daylight. The plankton begin their nightly rise, glowing faintly as they move upward through the dark. It feels as though the entire world is breathing in time with you. You are floating within a living mind, the planet thinking through water, through movement, through time. The lines between the scientific and the spiritual blur here. Both speak of connection. Both describe the same truth in different languages. Inhale slowly. Exhale gently. The water carries your breath outward into infinity. You have seen how the ocean connects its smallest beings to its largest, its surface to its depths, its present to its past. You have felt how it connects itself to you. And now, as the light fades completely, you understand something simple and profound. The web of life is not a concept to study. It is an experience to remember. Take one last deep breath. Inhale belonging. Exhale peace. You drift, weightless and calm, suspended in the balance that sustains the world. The currents flow softly around you, the sound of the sea like a slow heartbeat. Everything is connected. Everything is one. And the story continues. The ocean and the climate. Take a slow, steady breath. Inhale through your nose and feel the air enter your body like a wave flowing gently toward the shore. Then exhale softly, releasing everything that clings, worry, tension, thought letting it drift away like foam dissolving on sand. Now you are calm, open, and ready to journey deeper into the vast system that breathes with the planet itself, the ocean and its climate. The surface glows above you, bright and restless, but beneath it, something constant endures a pulse that has never stopped since the earth was young. The ocean is not just water, it is the engine of the planet. It moves energy, heat, and memory through its body like blood through veins. Every gust of wind, every drop of rain, every breath of air is touched by its rhythm. It does not merely react to climate, it creates it. The blue heart of the planet. From space, Earth appears as a blue marble suspended in black. That blue is not merely color, it is function. 71% of the surface is covered by ocean, and those waters store more than 90% of the planet's heat. They are the lungs, the bloodstream, and the thermostat of the world. When sunlight strikes the sea, some of its energy is absorbed and stored in the upper layers, warming the surface. Winds move across this warmth, creating evaporation water vapor that rises into the sky, cools, condenses, and becomes clouds. Those clouds drift over land, releasing rain that nourishes forests, fills rivers, and sustains life. Every drop that falls began here, as seawater touched by sunlight. Take a slow breath. Feel how your own breath mirrors that cycle, inhaling warmth, exhaling renewal. Every living thing, from coral to human, participates in this global exchange. The ocean is also a reservoir of carbon. It absorbs roughly a quarter of the carbon dioxide released into the air each year, dissolving it into its depths. Some of it is used by phytoplankton to build shells and fuel photosynthesis. Some sinks as marine snow stored safely for centuries on the seafloor. This process, known as the biological pump, helps keep Earth's atmosphere in balance. Without it, our skies would hold far more carbon, and the planet would be far warmer. The sea, in its quiet way, protects us from our own excess. The circulation of energy. Deep beneath the waves, heat and salt combine to create vast rivers of water that move around the globe, the thermohaline circulation. Cold, dense water sinks near the poles, where sea ice forms and salt concentrates. This heavy water slides along the seafloor, flowing through ocean basins like a slow, invisible current. In other regions, warmer, lighter water rises to replace it, completing the cycle. This movement connects every ocean, Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, Southern, Arctic, into one continuous body. Take another deep breath. Imagine following one parcel of this water on its journey. It begins in the chill of the North Atlantic, sinking near Greenland. It drifts southward, carrying oxygen and nutrients, weaving between underwater mountains and canyons. Decades pass, centuries. Finally, it rises again in the Pacific, warmed by equatorial sunlight, carrying with it the stories of distant seas. It is the slowest heartbeat on Earth, one full pulse that can take 1,000 years. This circulation redistributes energy across the planet. It carries warmth from the equator toward the poles, moderating temperatures and preventing extremes. Without it, tropical regions would be unbearably hot and polar zones uninhabitable. It is the ocean's way of equalizing difference, of ensuring that the planet breathes evenly, the ocean's influence on weather. Take a moment to feel the air around you. Even in imagination, you can sense its texture, its movement. What you feel is not separate from the ocean. The winds that move across continents are shaped by temperature differences between sea and land. When the ocean warms, air above it rises, creating low pressure that draws in cooler air from elsewhere. These interactions form the great wind systems, the trade winds, the westerlies, the monsoons. Over the Pacific, shifts in these patterns create the powerful phenomena known as El Niño and La Niña. During El Niño years, warm water spreads eastward across the equator, changing rainfall patterns across the globe. Some regions face droughts, others floods. Fish populations shift, coral reefs experience stress, and human weather feels the echo of oceanic breath. When La Niña arrives, the pattern reverses, waters cool, storms return to the western Pacific, and dry regions find relief. This cycle, unpredictable yet rhythmic, is a reminder of how tightly the ocean and sky are bound. Take another gentle breath. The air that fills your lungs once drifted across the sea, collecting moisture, energy, and stories along the way. Every breeze carries an ocean's memory, the ocean's heat and humanity. The ocean has absorbed over 90% of the excess heat trapped by greenhouse gases since the Industrial Revolution. It has spared the atmosphere from even greater warming, but at a cost. Warmer waters expand, raising sea levels. They disrupt currents and change habitats. Coral reefs bleach under stress. Species migrate toward cooler regions. The ocean is adapting, reshaping itself, responding, yet it cannot do so endlessly. And still, it remains our ally. Each wave that breaks, each current that turns, each droplet that evaporates is an act of balance. When you stand at the shore and feel wind on your face, you are feeling the ocean's attempt to heal. Take a slow, mindful breath of gratitude. Imagine the vast body of water quietly absorbing the planet's imbalance, dispersing heat, sharing energy, trying as it always has to restore equilibrium. It has done so for billions of years. It will continue as long as it can. The carbon connection. Carbon moves through the ocean in cycles both swift and slow. At the surface, phytoplankton take in carbon dioxide through photosynthesis. When they die, they sink, carrying carbon with them into the deep. Some is buried in sediments, some returns upward through currents, rejoining the air. This exchange is ancient, steady, and vital. In deeper layers, chemical reactions between water and rock lock carbon into the crust of the planet, forming limestone, coral reefs, and shells. Over eons, tectonic movements uplift these materials, returning them to the surface to begin the cycle again. It is the ocean's long memory, a carbon story written over hundreds of millions of years. When humans burn fossil fuels, We speed that story up unnaturally, releasing what was meant to remain buried. The ocean, generous as ever, takes what it can, dissolving carbon into its waters. But the chemistry changes. Seawater becomes more acidic, making it harder for corals and shellfish to build their calcium structures. The web of life adjusts, but slowly, carefully, painfully. It is a reminder that even the most resilient systems have limits. Storms, currents, and clouds. Now picture the surface of the sea on a stormy day. Wind sweeps across the waves, lifting spray and foam. The ocean responds by releasing salt particles and organic compounds into the air. These particles rise and become nuclei around which clouds form. Every cloud you've ever seen carries a whisper of the sea. When those clouds travel over land and release rain, that water nourishes plants that, in turn, exhale moisture back into the atmosphere, moisture that returns to the ocean. It is an unbroken circle, a conversation between water, air, and life. The energy stored in warm ocean water fuels hurricanes and typhoons. When the surface grows too hot, the balance tips, and the atmosphere releases its power through storms. They can be destructive, yes, but they are also the planet's way of redistributing energy, of maintaining thermal balance. Even destruction in nature has purpose. Take a deep, steady breath. Inhale the lesson of that truth that chaos too serves equilibrium. Exhale the tension of fear, knowing that every surge eventually returns to stillness. The oceans roll in time. For billions of years, the ocean has moderated Earth's climate. It buffered volcanic winters, absorbed the sun's heat, and shielded life from extremes. During the ice ages, as glaciers advanced, sea levels dropped, exposing new lands. When they melted, the waters returned, redrawing coastlines, shaping human history. Civilizations rose and fell along its shifting edges. Trade, culture, and migration have always followed its tides. Even the seasons themselves are the ocean's doing. As the planet tilts, sunlight strikes the seas differently, creating alternating zones of warmth and cold. These variations drive monsoons, shape harvests, and guide migrations. Without the ocean's thermal inertia, its ability to store and release heat slowly, the Earth would swing between violent extremes. The calm between those extremes is what we call climate. Take another breath. The air you inhale has crossed oceans, flowed over ice, brushed against forests, and circled the globe to reach you. Every breath is a blend of histories, the future sea. Now imagine centuries from now the future ocean. Its temperature may rise, its chemistry may shift, but it will still be vast, dynamic, alive. Currents may realign, changing the face of continents. New species will evolve, adapting to the new warmth, filling niches left empty by others. The sea has weathered far greater changes before meteors, ice ages, extinctions, and always life finds its way back. But we are part of that life now. Our choices shape the pace of change. When we reduce what we take, when we allow balance to return, the ocean responds quickly. Reefs can recover. Mangroves can regrow. Fisheries can rebound. The system longs for balance. It only needs a chance. Take another deep, slow breath of hope this time. Inhale the possibility of renewal. Exhale your trust in the resilience of nature. Across the world, people are learning from the sea's wisdom. Engineers mimic coral structures to design self-healing materials. Climate scientists study the ocean's carbon cycle to better understand solutions. Artists, poets, and dreamers listen to its rhythm, finding in its voice both warning and peace. The ocean is teaching us to slow down, to remember that strength lies not in haste, but in harmony. The breath of the planet. The ocean breathes. With each day, the tides inhale and exhale along coastlines. With each year, the currents move heat and nutrients from one hemisphere to another. With each millennium, the deep circulation completes its cycle, mixing the waters of every ocean into one body. And so does the earth breathe with it in weather, in rainfall, in wind. The air in your lungs at this very moment once existed in the bubbles rising from breaking waves. You are part of that breath. You always have been. Take another long, slow breath. Inhale and feel the connection between your lungs and the ocean's surface. Exhale and imagine releasing air that will someday return to the sea. When you listen closely enough, you can almost hear it. A hum beneath the sound of wind and wave, the low vibration of equilibrium. That is the sound of the ocean's breath, patient, eternal, alive. Reflection. You have seen the ocean's influence stretch across time and space. It warms the air, cools the earth, creates clouds, and feeds rain. It carries carbon, memory, and motion. It absorbs our mistakes and offers us calm. It is both origin and future, both mirror and guide. And as you float here, breathing in rhythm with its tides, you understand that the ocean is not separate from it, it is you. The water in your blood once flowed in its depths. The salts in your body mirror its chemistry. Your pulse echoes its waves. The balance of your life depends upon its breath. Take one final deep breath. Inhale belonging. Exhale gratitude. The ocean continues to flow beneath you, around you, within you, constant, restorative, eternal. Its story is the planet's story. And tonight, as you drift toward rest, invites you to remember one simple truth. The ocean is not only what surrounds life, it is life. The waves rise and fall. The earth exhales. And somewhere between that motion and stillness, you sleep held by the same rhythm that moves the sea. Humanity and the sea. Take a slow, deep breath. Inhale the cool, steady rhythm of the waves. Exhale softly, and imagine that breath merging with the horizon, the thin blue line where ocean meets sky. You are floating now in calm, endless water. The air is mild, the sea beneath you tranquil. The sun dips low, painting the world in gold. The planet has exhaled for billions of years, and now, for the briefest moment in cosmic time, humanity has joined that breath. The first encounters. Long before cities or machines, before words were written or maps were drawn, humans stood at the edge of the sea and felt wonder. They saw the vastness and sensed that it was alive, mysterious, unpredictable, yet magnetic. The shoreline was both a boundary and a promise, the end of the known world and the beginning of everything else. Imagine those first humans. They gather near the water's edge, watching waves roll in under starlight. They do not yet know about tides or currents, but they feel the pull. They step closer. The foam cools their feet. The rhythm soothes their minds. And something ancient within them stirs recognition. For the sea is not foreign to us. We came from it. Every heartbeat, every cell, every drop of blood echoes its chemistry. The same sodium, calcium, and potassium that once swirled through the primordial ocean now flows through our veins. When we cry, our tears are salt water. When we sweat, we return the sea to the air. Even as we evolved on land, we carried the memory of the ocean within us. Take a slow breath. Let that truth settle in your chest. You are not merely standing before the sea, you are remembering it. The sea as mother and teacher. Early humans learned from the tides. They noticed that the sea rose and fell with the moon. They built their first calendars around its rhythm. They learned to fish, to gather shellfish, to use tidal pools as traps. The ocean fed them, but more than that, it taught them patience. It taught them that life moves in cycles, that calm follows storm, that abundance follows scarcity, that everything comes and goes like the waves. Around the world, stories emerged, myths woven from salt and spray. In Polynesia, the ocean was a living ancestor. In Greece, it was Poseidon's realm, powerful, capricious, divine. To the Norse, it was a serpent coiled around the world, its movements shaping fate. To coastal tribes in Africa and the Americas, it was the home of spirits who carried messages between worlds. Different cultures, different names, but the same truth pulsed beneath them all. The ocean was sacred. Even now, that sense of reverence lingers. No matter how modern we become, the sight of the sea stirs something timeless in us, all mixed with humility. It reminds us of scale, of perspective. It reminds us that we are part of something vast and alive. The first voyages. Take another breath. Inhale the scent of salt and wind. Exhale into stillness. Now imagine the first boats, crude rafts of reeds and logs, pushed into the shallows. Human hands grip paddles. Hearts race. They are leaving the safety of land, trusting themselves to the water. No one knows what lies beyond the horizon. But still, they go. Over time, these journeys lengthened. People learned to read the stars, the wind, and the color of the waves. They discovered that the ocean is not chaos, but pattern vast, but navigable. The Polynesians mastered this art most beautifully. Without maps or compasses, they sailed thousands of miles across the Pacific, guided by clouds, birds, and the rhythm of swells beneath their boats. They memorized star paths, lines of light stretching from island to island. To them, navigation was not conquest, it was communion. Elsewhere, other civilizations followed the call. The Phoenicians built ships of cedar and bronze, trading across the Mediterranean. The Egyptians sailed the Red Sea to gather incense and spices. The Greeks mapped coastlines. The Vikings crossed frozen seas. The Chinese built fleets that reached Africa's shores. Each voyage expanded not just geography, but imagination. The ocean was no longer just a mystery. It became a connection, a bridge between worlds. The sea as mirror. As humanity grew, so too did its reflection in the water. We built ports and harbors, drew lines on maps, and named the waves. But the sea never belonged to us. It only lent us passage. It reflected our curiosity, our ambition, our restlessness. Every era's ships mirrored its spirit. Sails of empire, vessels of exploration, boats of migration and exile. Even now, when we look upon the ocean, we see both our dreams and our consequences. Take another deep breath. Imagine standing on a shore at dawn, thousands of years ago, or perhaps tomorrow. The water glows faintly. The horizon stretches wide. In that moment, the difference between past and future disappears. The sea looks the same. The waves that touched the first human footprints still roll upon the sand. The ocean remembers us all equally. The ocean as provider. For all of human history, the sea has been our provider. It gives food fish, shellfish, seaweed that feed billions. It gives medicine, drawn from coral reefs and algae, compounds that heal disease and inspire new science. It gives minerals, salt, and energy. It regulates the air we breathe, the climate we depend on, the water that sustains our crops. It is the silent foundation of every civilization. But as we've taken, we've also changed it. Our nets have grown vast, our reach global. The ocean once seemed infinite, an inexhaustible treasure. But no system is truly infinite. The delicate web of connection you felt in earlier chapters stretches thin under too much weight. And yet, the sea endures. It forgives in ways the land cannot. Given time, it heals. When fishing stops, species return. When pollution is reduced, coral color slowly blooms again. The ocean's patience is long, but not limitless. It whispers a simple truth. Balance is not restraint, it is wisdom. Take another deep breath. Inhale the lesson of the sea. Exhale your recognition of its generosity. The industrial sea. The last few centuries have been an age of transformation. We have learned to cross oceans in days instead of months. We have mapped the seafloor, mined its depths, and drilled its bed for oil and gas. We have filled its air with engines, its surface with ships, its depths with sound. Even here, far from land, the hum of humanity is faintly audible. Sound travels farther in water than in air. Whales once communicated across entire oceans. Now, their songs are interrupted by the low thrum of shipping lanes. Noise, invisible but persistent, has become another form of pollution, confusing migrations, masking communication, fraying the fabric of the blue highways. And yet, despite all this, the ocean remains alive. Its resilience is astonishing. In sanctuaries where fishing stops and noise quiets, life rebounds quickly. Coral larvae drift and settle. Sharks return to patrol reefs. Whales find one another again and sing. The sea, given silence, remembers how to breathe. The ocean in our culture. Throughout history, the ocean has been muse and mirror for our imagination. Writers have called it both mother and monster. Painters have chased its light. Composers have written symphonies that rise and fall like its waves. Its moods calm, storm, depth, reflection mirror every human emotion. When we gaze upon it, we see our inner world projected outward. Philosophers have long compared the human mind to the sea. Both are deep, layered, and restless. Both hide vast unknowns beneath their surfaces. Thoughts rise and fall like currents. Memories drift like tides. And sometimes, amid the turbulence, a moment of stillness opens a quiet expanse where understanding feels as wide as the horizon. Take a long breath. Let your mind become that ocean, vast, aware, serene. The sea and the sacred. For all our science, the sea retains its mystery. Even now, when satellites trace its currents and sensors map its chemistry, we have explored less than 10% of its depths. There are mountain ranges taller than the Himalayas beneath the waves, and valleys so deep that sunlight has never touched their floors. New species are discovered with every descent, creatures glowing, transparent, alien, yet delicate. It is humbling to realize that the greatest wilderness remaining on Earth is the one we have always lived beside. To touch the sea is to touch eternity. Its molecules have cycled through every age, through dinosaurs and comets, through glaciers and rain. Every drop carries the story of the world. To stand before it, or to float within it, is to stand within time itself. The modern reckoning. We have reached a moment of reckoning where knowledge and responsibility meet. We now know the science, how currents regulate climate, how coral reefs protect coasts, how plankton feed the atmosphere. We also know the cost of forgetting. Rising temperatures, bleaching reefs, melting ice, species shifting, migrating, vanishing. But the story of humanity and the sea is not one of guilt. It is one of potential. The same ingenuity that once built ships to explore the ocean now builds technologies to heal it. Solar-powered vessels map plastic waste. Artificial reefs grow from recycled materials. Scientists study the songs of whales to measure ocean health. Communities restore mangroves, protect wetlands, and create sanctuaries where life can breathe freely. The ocean's renewal is already underway, quiet, steady, hopeful. The emotional tide. Take another slow, deep breath. Inhale the hope of that renewal. Exhale any thought that the damage is irreversible. Nothing in the ocean is truly lost. It is simply waiting for the right conditions to return. Think of the coral reefs glowing again after years of white silence. Think of turtles returning to beaches once thought barren. Think of whales singing new songs in quieter waters. These are not dreams, they are real, unfolding miracles. And within you, the same resilience exists. The ocean teaches endurance without bitterness, strength without aggression, patience without passivity. It holds storms but does not cling to them. It calms itself again and again. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson it offers us, how to return to peace, no matter the waves. The human future within the sea. Now imagine the future not of technology or conquest, but of harmony. Cities built with the tide, floating gardens that clean water as they grow. Ships powered by sunlight and wind, silent and circular. Children learning to dive before they can run, not for sport, but to understand their planet's pulse firsthand. An age where the sea is not a resource, but a relationship. This is not fantasy, it is possibility. The science exists. The will is awakening. Across the world, we are remembering that the ocean's story is our own. If we heal the sea, we heal ourselves. Take a deep breath, slowly and fully. Feel the air move through you, the same air the ocean made. You are breathing the sea's exhale, the whisper of plankton, the sigh of waves, the quiet patience of water that has touched every shore. Reflection. You are floating again, at peace. The horizon stretches endlessly before you. Beneath the surface, whales move in slow grace. Coral blooms quietly in color, and the deep continues its slow, ancient breathing. Above, the clouds drift, born of evaporation, returning as rain. The cycle continues, calm, constant, eternal. The ocean does not judge. It remembers. It holds. It forgives. It teaches through rhythm, not through words. And as you float here, weightless, tranquil, small but infinite, you realize that everything you've learned tonight is not new. It is remembrance. You are water. You are salt. You are wave and tide, current and calm. You are the sea, made aware of itself for a brief, miraculous moment in time. Take one last deep breath. Inhale belonging. Exhale surrender. The ocean surrounds you, vast, quiet, infinite. Its song slows your heart, calms your breath, stills your thoughts. And as the moon rises, painting the surface in silver, you close your eyes. The world fades into blue silence. The story of humanity in the sea becomes one story of origin, of loss, of renewal, of return. And as the waves breathe around you, soft and steady, the earth itself seems to whisper, remember. The deep future of the blue planet. Take a deep, gentle breath. Inhale through your nose, slow, patient, steady, and feel the air move within you like the slow roll of a wave. Now exhale through your mouth and imagine your breath returning to the horizon, carried away by wind and tide. The sound of the sea surrounds you, soft, rhythmic, eternal. You are floating once more in the endless blue, the place where all beginnings and endings merge. You have journeyed through time tonight, from the ocean's birth in fire and rain to the emergence of life, the rise of coral kingdoms, the migrations of whales, and the fragile web of connection that binds all living things. Now, as you drift in calm water beneath a starlit sky, we will travel forward, not backward, into the ocean's deep future. The sea is timeless, yet it is never still. It changes slowly but profoundly. Currents shift, temperatures rise, species evolve and vanish, continents drift, and new forms of life appear. The ocean remembers everything. Its memory is not made of ink or words, but of molecules, of chemistry, of rhythm. It carries the story of the planet in every drop. The ocean of tomorrow. Imagine centuries from now. The waves still move, the tides still breathe, but the map of the world has changed. Some coastlines have drifted inland, others have disappeared beneath the water. The Arctic Ocean, once frozen year-round, has opened to the sun. New currents flow where ice once stood. The sea, adapting as it always has, finds new balance. The creatures of this future ocean are not the same as those we know. Some have disappeared quietly, unable to adapt to the warmth. Others have flourished, filling the open niches left behind. New coral species resistant to heat spread across tropical waters, forming reefs in places that were once barren. Jellyfish bloom in abundance, delicate and luminous, moving through the water like drifting lanterns. Giant squids, elusive for millennia, have moved closer to the surface, their presence no longer confined to the deep. And still, the whales sing. Their songs change with the sea lower, slower, more resonant, adapted to a quieter world that has begun to heal. Take a slow breath, and as you exhale, feel the vastness of time around you. The ocean has seen empires rise and fall, ice ages come and go, continents break and merge. It will see whatever comes next, and it will endure. The ocean of the future is warmer, yes, but also wiser. It remembers every storm, every act of harm, every gesture of kindness. It carries humanity's story within it, our mistakes, our marvels, our rediscovery of reverence. For even when we forgot the sea's importance, it never stopped sustaining us. And now, in the deep future, humanity has learned to listen again. The era of restoration. Close your eyes and imagine coastal cities of the future, quiet, graceful, alive. The people here have rebuilt their relationship with the sea. They no longer war themselves against it. They build with it, upon it, within it. Their homes rise on floating foundations that move with the tide. Their energy comes from the wind, the waves, and the sun. They no longer take more than they give. They have learned from the patient cycles of the ocean that everything returns, that all consumption must be matched by renewal. Offshore, great fields of kelp sway in the currents, absorbing carbon and releasing oxygen. Seaweed farms feed both people and animals, replenishing the water rather than depleting it. Artificial reefs built from recycled materials have become thriving ecosystems, teeming with life. Seagrass meadows stretch for miles along the coasts, anchoring sand and providing nurseries for fish. In the deep, autonomous machines, silent, gentle, respectful monitor oxygen levels, collect samples, and restore damaged habitats. Technology and nature no longer compete. They cooperate. Human innovation has finally learned humility. Take another slow breath. Inhale the peace of that image. Exhale the weight of the present. In the far future, balance has returned not through force, but through understanding. Children swim in clear bays, surrounded by dolphins that have returned to old breeding grounds. Whales migrate freely again, their roots protected by vast marine sanctuaries that span entire oceans. The people have stopped drawing borders on the sea. They understand now what ancient navigators once knew, that the ocean is one, indivisible, sacred whole. And at night, when they look out over the dark surface and see the reflection of the stars, they remember that they are looking into a mirror, the same mirror that first humans saw when they looked into still water and saw themselves. The deep intelligence. The ocean's future is not just biological, it is cognitive. Within its depths, intelligence evolves in ways we can scarcely imagine. Cephalopods, octopuses, cuttlefish, and squids have continued to adapt, their flexible minds shaping new forms of communication. Some scientists believe they may already possess a kind of distributed consciousness, one that thinks through color, texture, and motion rather than language. In the future, that intelligence flourishes. Patterns of light pulse across their skin, in sequences as complex as song. They use coral and shell, not just as shelter, but as tools and art. Perhaps they even remember us, the curious, noisy beings who once ruled the land. In the shallow reefs, fish and crustaceans continue their eternal cooperation, cleaning one another, building balance. Sharks glide silently, their movements still elegant, unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. They are living fossils, survivors of every extinction the Earth has faced. The ocean's deep memory lives within them. And far below, life around the hydrothermal vents persists alien as ever, radiant with heat and resilience. In those dark plumes, new genetic codes emerge, tiny shifts that will one day become new species, new possibilities. The ocean never stops creating. The planet's pulse. Take another deep, quiet breath. Feel the slow rise and fall of your chest, the same motion as the tides. That rhythm has not changed in billions of years. It connects the pulse of the human body to the breath of the world. In this future Earth, the climate has stabilized again. After centuries of adjustment, the ocean has found a new equilibrium. Sea levels have risen, but the coasts have adapted. Forests of mangroves line the edges of continents, absorbing carbon and calming storms. Wetlands stretch across deltas, filtering water and giving birth to countless forms of life. The polar regions, though smaller, are alive, teeming with hardy species that thrive in the balance between ice and sea. Whales still migrate, carrying nutrients from deep feeding grounds to the surface. Their movements, once interrupted by noise, are now accompanied by silence. A clean, unbroken soundscape that carries their songs for hundreds of miles. Seabirds still circle overhead. Turtles still rise for air. The planet breathes as one. Humanity has learned what the ocean always knew, that balance is not stillness, but movement, that the key to survival is adaptation, and the key to peace is humility. The memory of water. Water, scientists say, is the most ancient substance on Earth. Every molecule you touch tonight has cycled through countless forms: rain, river, cloud, glacier, blood, tear. Some of it may have fallen on the first continents. Some may have frozen in comets before Earth even existed. Every sip, every drop, every wave is older than memory. In this far future, the ocean carries that heritage forward. It is the archive of the Earth, storing not words or data, but chemistry, history, and life itself. If you could read its molecules, you would find traces of everything. The first rain, the first breath, the first song of a whale, the first reflection of a human face. Now, breathe deeply again. Inhale that memory. Exhale into the vastness that holds it. The ocean's story is unbroken. You are part of that continuity, a single wave in an eternal tide. The human legacy. In the deep future, people remember that they were once careless with the sea, and they teach that story to their children. But they do not teach it as guilt. They teach it as gratitude. They tell of a time when humanity forgot its origin and then remembered. They tell how the oceans warmed and how they healed. How coral bleached white, then glowed again. How whales went silent, then sang anew. How humans finally learned that to protect the sea is to protect themselves. These children grow up with both reverence and responsibility. They study marine science not from distant labs, but from floating schools that drift with the currents. They learn to read the language of waves, to predict weather by the feel of wind and salt. They see technology not as control, but as cooperation, as partnership. Above all, they are taught the same lesson whispered by tides since time began: that life is circular, that everything returns, and that water is not something we possess, it is something we are. Take another breath. Inhale that unity. Exhale your separateness. You are part of the same current that connects those future souls to their ancestors, to you, to all who came before, to all who will come after. The ocean beyond humanity. But the story does not end with us. Even when the last human footprint fades from the shore, the ocean will remain. It has existed long before language, long before mind, and it will continue long after both. The currents will keep moving. The tides will still pull at the moon. The deep will still glow with the light of life. Perhaps, far into the future, another form of intelligence will rise from the water, one born not of land, but of sea, inheriting our ruins and our rhythms alike. It will listen to the hum of the planet, just as we once listened to the sea. It will learn to balance, to dream, to explore. It will look upward, as whales once did when they breached toward the sky, and wonder what lies beyond. Take another deep, calm breath. Let that idea wash over you like cool water. Life will continue, not as repetition, but as renewal. The ocean will remain the cradle of that renewal, forever reshaping itself, forever teaching the lesson of flow. The eternal return. Now imagine yourself rising slowly toward the surface. You've traveled through darkness and light, through time and memory. The water around you grows warmer, brighter, more radiant. The faint shimmer above becomes sunlight, breaking into golden ribbons. You can hear the rhythm of waves, the whisper of wind, the pulse of the world. You break the surface, and for a moment, you float between two infinities, the sky above and the sea below. Both are mirrors, both alive, both endless. You take a breath of air, rich with salt and sunlight, and feel the same peace that the first humans felt when they looked upon the ocean's face. You realize that nothing has been lost. Everything endures, transformed. The water holds your reflection. It ripples gently, reshaping your image into patterns that look like galaxies, like coral, like the whirls of a fingerprint. You see yourself in all of it, in the vast and in the minute, in the surface and in the depth. The universe, you realize, is not something separate from you. It is something that remembers you. Take a long, deep breath. Inhale, gratitude. Exhale, peace. Above, the stars burn quietly, reflected perfectly in the calm water. You drift, suspended between constellations and currents. You feel your body grow light, as if you are dissolving into the same elements that formed the sea. Hydrogen, oxygen, salt, carbon. The building blocks of all things, stars, planets, oceans, life. All connected, all cyclical, all returning. The story of the ocean is the story of the universe remembering itself. It began with stardust and will end with stardust. It began with water and will end with water. There is no true ending, only continuation. And as you float there, half dream, half awareness, you understand what the sea has whispered since the beginning. That life is not about permanence, but participation. That beauty is not in control, but in belonging. That every wave, no matter how brief, is part of something infinite. The farewell. Now the horizon begins to soften. The stars fade, replaced by the pale glow of dawn. The sky lightens to silver, then gold. You can feel warmth spreading through the air. The ocean below mirrors it, shimmering with life. Birds begin to cry softly above you. Fish rise near the surface. The first rays of sunlight touch the water, turning every ripple into molten light. The world feels new, reborn. Take one final, deep, quiet breath. Inhale the morning of the future. Exhale into peace. You are no longer separate from anything. You are part of the sea's eternal story, part of its birth, its balance, its breath. You are the ocean, dreaming of itself. And as the waves carry you toward the horizon, calm and endless, the voice of the sea whispers, tender and sure. Everything changes. Everything returns. Everything is one.